Can you put that on my hand? Thank you. I can't go down right now.
Boy, I bet you glad you missed it on my mail. I'm not doing nothing else. Oh, gosh. You'll never live that down.
Remember what day it is. Bobby, you ready? Mr. Newton, everything good with you? Aaron, ready to go? All right, we call this meeting to order. It's 4 o'clock, July 15th, 2024. Mr. Langford's going to pray with us, and Mr. Smith's going to lead us in a pledge to the flag.
Pray with me, please. Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father in heaven, the creator of the universe, we approach our throne of grace, Father, just thanking you for this another beautiful day, another opportunity that we have to live here on the face of this earth and to serve you. It's such an honor and a privilege that we can bow ourselves before you and that we can petition you for the things we want, the things we need. And we know, Father, beforehand that you know what we need, and we just pray, Father, that you'll guide us down the right path. You say we have not because we ask not. We're asking at this time, Father, that you would guide our minds and our hearts at this meeting today to make the right decisions and do the right things that would benefit not only us, but the state of Florida and the nation as a whole and the residents of Gilchrist County that we represent. We just pray, Father, we'll do our best and do it honestly. We ask, Father, that you would be with our first responders and people who put their life on the line each and every day, that they may be protected as much as possible, and that they'll have a good life here on earth, that they may serve the duty they expected to do. We ask, Father, that you be with Donald Trump. We pray, Father, that he'll just be protected and that everything will work out for the best for him and everything will work out best for the country, whatever direction it goes in. We ask, Father, that you would forgive us of our shortcomings, continue to bless us. We thank you for our long suffering. We thank you for your patience and especially for your love. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, well, good afternoon. Good to see a big crowd here today. We got a lot to get going through on the agenda. And so we're going to start off. Are there any agenda changes?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
I have one. I want to add under my attorney's report information on a veteran's preference employment claim to the VA. I want to make a report on that.
All right, we'll add veterans to Mr. Lang's report. Mr. Newton, anything with you?
None today, sir.
Any commissioners? All right.
I'll move to approve the agenda consent.
Second.
All right, we got a motion from Mr. Langford, a second from Mr. Smith to approve the agenda with the change. that was mentioned. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion passes. We'll look at the consent agenda. We've already had a chance to read through it. Any questions about it?
Motion approved.
All right, we got a motion to approve the consent agenda. And we got a second by Commissioner Langford, a motion made by Commissioner, Thomas. All those in favor of the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. All right, we have 2 times that the public can speak and address, the board. One of them is right now, and then we'll have a spot at the end where you can address the board there. If you have a concern that's not on the agenda and you would like to express it to the board, now's your chance. Anybody? Come on up, and you gotta come to the podium and tell us your name, and we'll listen to you.
Glad to be here from Vincent Sealy. I live at 7389 Southeast 77th Lane in Trenton. I'm here with concern about Southeast 77th Lane and the amount of building that's going on out there. We've got a lot of families that live on that particular road, and we have a lot of folks that seem to think it's a super speed gun, and it creates a lot of dirt and dust, and you can't even set out on your trees and porches for the dirt and the dust. I'm asking for what your plan is, and we go from there.
All right, on 77th Lane.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have not heard anything about it up to this point.
I haven't-
Anybody else?
I haven't
Um,
left my district.
That's your
Yeah, I haven't heard
district.
that. I mean, I haven't.
Have you not talked to Matt?
Sorry?
Matt,
haven't talked to
that
you.
lives down at the end of 77th.
Are you talking about maybe
Alachua County.
the paving of it
Wait,
possibly?
what do you,
Well, it's a paving, but I understand that he talked to some folks up there at the last meeting, and talked to them about doing a color and chip on the road. I'm wondering what that plan is.
let me see what road that is.
I think we,
I'm gonna pull it up on my map here, to make sure.
Ms. Langford, I might, can help you with, you remember where we put the culvert in? Out there?
Where they're building the houses?
Where we put the culvert in and we had to do the retention area where they built the new homes?
Oh, yes,
It's
sir.
that road. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, Matt had talked to us
Mhm.
about,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Davis.
Okay. I
And,
know what you're
he
talking
had
about.
talked to us about, could that road be paved or whatever, and I don't think I'd provided it to him, but it was provided to someone else out there, and I think he knew who that was. We can provide it to you or him, and it was the process for a special assessment to be able to pave the road. And I had spoken to him about that a little bit in detail, and he was gonna talk with some of the neighbors about it.
Yeah,
So,
he came and talked with me, but that was $1 million.
yeah,
And
So-
that's just outrageous. And the folks out there, I already know, are paying quite a bit in property taxes. And I just feel like that the county should have some kind of allotment for at least doing a tar and chip on that road. Since this went from probably 4 families to almost 100 families out there.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
right. I do know that the roads haven't been determined yet, but there's a list being created of roads based on the amount of traffic or because of the increase of traffic throughout the entire county.
Mhm.
It's gonna be considered and presented to the board for doing the, possibly the chip and seal and some of that type of work. That, like I said, that list is being created now. I don't even know what's on the list at this point, but that is something that probably will come up to this board in the near future. That may be one of the roads that's on it. I'm not sure at this point, so I don't want you to leave yours. I'm saying it's on it. I don't know at this point.
So Bobby, aren't we, we're doing a road count as part of that evaluation?
Yeah, there's a number of criteria that they're using, road
Okay.
count, residential count, and some different other criteria. But we'll have that a little bit, more polished out and hopefully here real soon. The board actually, in the last 30 to 60 days, entered into a contract with a company that does the chip and seal.
Mhm.
So that's all, they've got that part in place. So that part's in place now. and so we can start trying to move forward. They've
Well, I know they're still continually building out there, and it's just gonna get more and more folks that's living on that particular road. And right now, I guarantee if you lived in my house, you wouldn't like it. And I've spoken with the sheriff's department to see if we could get the deputies to roll through there a little more often, slow folks down. There is kids that play out on that road, and there's gonna be an accident out there.
Yeah, are they, and I don't recall, I've been on the road a few times, are there any speed limit signs on that road?
Yes, sir.
They are?
Yeah. And nobody seems to be paying attention to them.
That's on any road, I hate to say that, but I just wanted to know, did we even have any posters?
And I've invited deputies to come sit in my yard and turn my tickets all day long. They want to, because they can. I don't understand it, but, I would like to see if the county can get out there and do something with that particular road. And, at some point in time, if it does get killed, put in some speed bumps, do something, slow them down before kids get killed.
Yes.
I know we did some drainage, and we still have more to do,
Mhm.
out there, so I do know we have been working on that road as far as for the drainage part.
Right. I know it's been flooding down on the other end. I think you guys have just that, but, where Matt lives out on that end. I live on the other end.
Okay, you live on the other end.
Mm-hmm. But I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, Mr. Stevens.
drive out, take a look at it. All right, anyone else? Come on up, tell us your name, please, and
My name is Peggy Googler. I live at 6379 Northwest 50th Terrace in Little Lake City in Bell. And I am in my 60s, and I'm ashamed to say I've never come to one of these meetings before in my life. But with the political atmosphere out there right now, I felt that strong need to come and just pray a prayer of protection over this area and this building and what goes on here. If that's okay. I'm shaking. I'm reading it out of this great prayer.
well, we appreciate prayers. That's why we start all our meeting with a
Yes, I
prayer.
love that. I come humbly as a child, ready to yield to my Father in heaven. I come boldly as a warrior armed with Christ's victory. I thank you for the price you paid so that I could stand in my identity as your child. I put on the grace of God, which covers every sin. I put on the love of God, which breaks off all shame, and I receive the favor of God so that I may boldly approach the throne of grace and know that I have my Father's attention. Thank you, Father, for welcoming me into your courtroom. It's called applying the blood. Lord, I thank you that the blood of Jesus brought us near, even when we were far from you. Thank you that we have redemption through your blood and the forgiveness of sins, according to the riches of your favor, pleasure, and grace. Father, I thank you for the overcoming power of the blood. We overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So I stand on your word and apply the blood of Jesus to every bit of this land on which I stand. I plead the blood of Jesus over the boundary lines, property markers, and landmarks on this property. I plead the blood of Jesus over every building, vehicle, structure, and object on this property. I pray that Christ's blood will be a wall of fire around us and the glory of God in the midst. I pray the blood of Jesus over every entrance and all coming and goings on this property. I command all access to this land to be subject to the blood of Jesus. I apply the blood to every footprint left on this land, that the blood will wash and cleanse every inch of this property, and that no baggage be left behind. I plead the blood of Jesus over the minds and hearts of all who enter this place. They will have clear heads and righteous thinking. No toxic thinking or actions will be allowed to prevail. I pray the blood of Jesus over all past history and every bit of history on this land. And I ask the peace of Christ to prevail here and that all the power of God will be free to move. I ask the Father for the victory in Christ's blood to be manifest in this place. Thank you very much.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Hard to follow a good prayer like that. Anybody? Come on up, sir. If you would, tell us your name and
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Curtis Peck, and I live down on South Main. First question to the county board is, when is the road department going to get up off their butts and correct their screw up by allowing the parking pads to go in on county property? As you and I have talked before,
Yes, sir.
30 days has passed, when code enforcement is going to get involved in it?
I know, last I talked to you, and I talked to Mr. Crosby, it was going to end up going to hearing, correct, Mr. Crosby?
Yeah,
So
it'll
how
take
long-
90 to 120 days before it gets to a hearing, because we have to schedule with a hearing officer, we have to do all the proper notices and all that takes place, so.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, Mr. Crosby. One of the new residents that built property there wants to finish out the build that he has permits for. Since the county law enforcement doesn't seem to want to follow county ordinances, he wants to sell and move back to New Jersey. This,
So that other's in a process, it's gonna end up in hearing.
this is the front of our house and the property across the street. Right, easy. What brought this to my attention was when the road department came down right after they sold it. I guess the property was sold as is. Because the, parking pads are not legal. And I believe it was you, Mr. Crosby, told me that's what title insurance is for, to correct any mistakes like that.
I don't
3 of the 5 residents are trying to park legally. The 2 that are not is a GCSO deputy and a school teacher from Trenton. They act like it doesn't apply to them. What are they gonna do? And I'd asked, talked to Mr. Rodney at the road department, he was gonna look at the plat book to get back to me about making that road county maintained, and I have yet to hear anything back from him. Thank you.
All right, what was the road that you?
First place. Now, this is part of that, all that new construction, I understand your gentleman's frustration with construction. In my opinion, about the door.
All right, anybody else? Come on up, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gilchrist. My wife Mary and I are new residents of Gilchrist County. We love it here. We have family here. We met a lot of fantastic and friendly people. I'm here tonight to draw attention to an application for subdivision of property called Trinity Acres to be approved tonight, I hope. I purchased my land in February of 22.
That's gonna be a time certain,
Yeah, that's
sir.
a time certain.
What does that mean?
That means it's on the agenda, and when we get to that part of the agenda, that would be the time you'd come up and speak.
Okay.
Okay?
So-
That way we don't have to rehash it later.
Okay.
When we get to that part of the agenda, it's a time certain, I don't remember.
4:45.
4:45?
Got 30 minutes.
We'd love to hear from you then,
Okay,
okay?
good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right, we will move on to, we don't have any constitutional officers need to speak, so we will move on to our county administrator's report.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, my report starts with item number 6 under general. At the last board meeting, I was asked to place on for about the concern of renaming of the rodeo arena. So I guess now would be the time to discuss or take comment on the renaming of the rodeo arena.
All right, the rodeo arena is now presently called the Gilchrist Agricultural Complex.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I was teaching ag when that was put in, and, I will tell you, the discussion was naming it after Murph Everett, and Mr. Everett was a super fine man. I mean, just an icon in the community. When we built that arena, though, there were a lot of people involved in building it, and when we started thinking of a name, we didn't put a name on it because there were so many people involved in it. Miss Walker, Mr. Grady Jones, and just, I can go on and on, Herbie Brandt, a lot of people involved in it. And so we didn't put a name on it, but, I have the uttermost respect for Mr. Everett and could go along with renaming it if that's to do that and honor him. He was a fine individual. I entered my first teaching position was an internship under Murph Everett, and learned a lot from the man, and was a good friend of his. When I moved back here and as a ag teacher and a school board member, was just an outstanding individual. So, but that's why we named it what we did, is because there were so many different people involved in getting that arena up that we, at that point in time, didn't want to put a certain name on it. But anybody in the audience like to speak on this? Go ahead, Ms. Walker.
So y'all have no doubt how I'm standing on this. Mr. Everett was one of the first 7, to, be a board member for the radio arena for that property when we got it. But what Bill didn't say is, the night that we got the information that we needed to be in Tallahassee in 8 hours to present, to be able to be funded, is that Mr. Everett's the one that got in his car and went to Tallahassee and presented to the legislature for us, along with C.B. Stubbs, who was the county commissioner at that time. So those 2 did that. Mr. Everett, we were able to get that passed, and he came back and served on the board until such time that he was physically not able to do that. We are now in a position to be able to, this be the last thing we can ever do to honor him. And I think it's very fitting and appropriate, especially with the new IFAS extension office coming there. We're gonna get a lot of looks there, and, possibly give a name to that at some point. And I think it's just fitting that, and I don't know if he brought the item up, I only heard about it when it came on the agenda. But I'm proud to stand here and tell you that, Murph Everett was a fine man, and there are multiple people in this room today that he taught me how to do it.
Michelle, this thing's been going on quite a few years, trying to rename this thing. Have you thought of what we would like to call it if we rename it?
J.M.
I just think the J.M. Everett,
Everett.
agricultural facility, or, if you're gonna call the IFAS facility something different, extension office something different, then this would just be the J.M. Everett Ag Complex, and come back to that other piece at a later time. But I just think it's a fine thing to take that piece of property and name it. We're changing so fast. You guys know that.
Yep.
He was a great man. He
Every
was my teacher in
Yeah.
my 11th and 12th grade.
But
Wonderful
We're
person.
changing so fast that, folks who move in here don't realize the people who made it.
Yeah, most people that are here know how much impact he had. My dad served on the school board with Mr. Everett about 8 years, and I just know firsthand, and I know a lot of you guys, he taught you, and he had impact, lasting impact. You're talking about legacy impact, not only you, but your kids, and it'll continue on to your grandkids. And so, I think it's well deserved, what I, yeah.
And I appreciate, Kendrick for bringing that to the board, notice for one more time, so, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Mr. Jordan, did you wish to speak?
I pretty much agree 100% with it. I was part of the field out there in Bristol, and I think she done very elegant on telling the same thing I was doing.
All right. Anybody else wish to speak on this? Oh, Mr. Parrish, I'm sorry, I didn't see you coming up.
My name's Terry Parrish, I'm a former student of Mr. J.M. Everett. Had the opportunity to be a participant in his ag program for 6 years, at Trenton High School. Was extensively involved in the FFA program there, which he was, a teacher, a mentor, a person, who had direct impact over the young people in our community. Never been a big proponent for naming things and putting names on things just simply because it always seems that somebody supersedes that and maybe does bigger things. But this man was more than just a teacher. He was a person of impact, like I said. You know, I don't want to beat dead horses to death and reiterating what Michelle had to say. But, I was able to serve as state FFA president in 1985-86 and was Mr. Everett's only state FFA president. So we became very close. I had opportunity to speak at his funeral. A man that, if you name this complex after him, I dare say you will not be able to find anyone that will have a negative, anything negative to say about him and his life. He exemplified what a teacher should be. He exemplified what a father should be. He exemplified what a Christian man should be. So I encourage you to pass this.
And Terry, what do you recommend naming it? The same thing we just talked
I
about?
would say maybe the J.M. Everett Agricultural Complex.
I could just, okay.
That's a pretty general,
Yeah,
you know, naming, and it still gives the opportunity to name specific things after whomever, if you so desire.
You want J.M. Murph Everett, didn't they?
J.M. Murph Everett, yeah.
A lot of people know him about Murph.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
people knew about Murph and Prince
Murphy.
Steve Murph, J.M. and Prince Steve Murph.
J.M. Murph Everett. Agricultural.
Is there any opposition that you know of? Anybody know of any opposition?
I
Does
don't-
anybody here wish to speak against that?
Nobody's
I
called
guess.
me against it,
And I have
I've
had no
had several
calls against
people-
it either.
in favor of it.
All right, what would you like to do, board?
Motion that named the agricultural complex J.M. Murph Everett Agricultural Complex.
All right,
Second.
we got a motion
Second.
and a second. We got a motion by Commissioner Thomas, a second by Commissioner Langford to rename the arena the J.M. Everett Murph Everett, J.M. Murph Everett Agricultural Complex. Is that what we're?
Is that good, Michelle? Terry?
All those in favor? We got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, we will rename the arena. Hopefully we can get a sign here in the near future to have his name on it. He was a good man, no doubt about it. Thank y'all for coming. All right, we will move on.
Yes, sir. Under number 6, also general number B, we have a PRM board that we have appointed members to. And on September 21st, 2015, the board appointed Mr. Todd Newton, clerk of court, to serve as a representative on the Public Risk Management Board, along with myself as part of, as to represent the county. Mr. Newton has been a lot more active attending the meetings and all than I have, and I thank him for that. But we are required to have 2 people, based on the current events that's going to happen in the future. And I feel like it would probably be better served if we do it this way. I'd like to ask that you would appoint Ms. Tammy Moore, who is our Human Resource Director, to take my place as a member. She works with them on I won't say a daily basis, but probably weekly, because she handles all of our health insurance that goes with that, and she processes all of the invoices. So she has to deal back and forth with them. So as far as someone who has a lot of contact with the PRM, that would be her. Truthfully, I think it would be better to have her serving on that as the HR director than the county administrator. So what I'd like to do is ask the board to appoint Ms. Tammy Moore, the Human Resource Director, to take my place as the alternate board member.
Ms. Moore, is that
Public Risk Management?
Is that okay with you? Don't want to put anything on you, but I'm sure he had already talked to you, but I just wanted to make sure. All right,
Need a motion?
All right, yeah, we'll need a
Yeah,
motion.
a motion to, appoint Tammy Moore to the PRM, as our representative.
I'll second that.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Smith, a second by Commissioner Langford to,
And go ahead. And I do want to say something. I took a class down there in Orlando about risk management. It's huge and it's important and it involves the whole county. Insurance claims, this, that, ways to save money and ways to do this and ways to do that. Communication, there's a lot to it. So I think Timmy would be good at that.
all right, we have a motion and a second to, put Ms. Tammy Moore on the PRM board for Gilchrist County. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion
Mr.
carries.
Chair-
Thank
Mr.
you very
Chairman.
much for being willing to serve, because it is an important role and we'll, look forward to getting you involved in it. Thank you very much. We do appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, just so you know, we have to provide a letter to them. We don't have that letter with us today. We have the one from 2015. We'll just duplicate it and then we'll get it so
Update
that
the-
you'll be able to sign it. You'll need to sign that. And
Okay.
you know, sometime this week, next week, we'll get it
Okay,
taken
I can
care
get in later this week.
of. Thank you.
Fine. All right.
The next item is an invoice from Motorola.
4:30 time, sir.
Is it 4:30?
Yeah, we do have a time certain at 4:30, and I had 4:29, but you want to hold just a second, it'll be 4:30 in just a second or two.
I am good either way.
I was on county times, looking at 12:50.
Hold by what my phone said. All right, it is 4:30. We'll do a 4:30 time certain, resolution 2024-17. And Mr. Lang is gonna cover this for us.
I'd be happy to. This is a petition by the Board of County Commissioners of Gilchrist County, Florida, to vacate, abandon, discontinue, and close that portion of the right-of-way of the public roadway known as Northwest 50th Street, also known as Willow Lane, lying in sections 5 and 8, Township 8 South, Range 14 East, Gilchrist County, Florida, be more particularly described by a lengthy meets and bounds legal description as shown in the petition. The portion of the public roadway requested to be vacated and closed is west of the intersection of Northwest 50th Street, which is, again, is Willow Lane, and Northwest 72nd Way, which is known also as Shady Bend Trail, and extends westerly to the Swanee River. The notice was actually published 2 times, on June the 13th and again on June the 20th, in a newspaper of general circulation in Gilchrist County. We posted the property in 3 different places in Gilchrist County, one of which was on the front door of the courthouse. We placed a notice, or we sent a notice to adjoining property owners on the north, south, and south streets of the adjacent property to the owners. The statute only requires that there be advertisement 2 times, at least 30 days before the public hearing, but we, based on comments from the board before, wanted to make sure everyone got sufficient notice of the petition that's before the board. Again, there's a petition that follows the notice that we're showing the public up there on the board. This was actually generated, this request to close Northwest 50th was actually generated by Mr. DeBose, who is an adjoining property owner out there. I believe he was before the board back this past November, had come back and asked a couple of times. It took a long time, excuse me, to get a survey completed so that we could bring this matter forward. But the survey has been completed, and also in the staff report that you'll see the petition that's up there, to make it perfectly clear, if the roadway is closed at the point that they want it closed to the river, the property will vest to the abutting property owners by operation of law, but it will be subject to any legal easements that are retained by any of the public members. So The survey that was done by Parish Land Surveying, this is 72nd, this is 50th, this is the Swanee River. The DeBoses on this property, the Clarks on this property right here. The legal description that Mr. Tommy Bond with Parish created starts the actual road closure at a point approximately right here, and then extending to the Swanee River. If this road is closed, half of this roadway will go to the DeBose, Mr. DeBose on the north side, and half to Ms. Clark on the south side, subject to, and then we need to be perfectly clear about this, because it shows on the paper here, which is not part of the Shady Bend subdivision. This is Shady Bend subdivision. This is the Swanee River. And I apologize for being so nervous with this thing. I can't keep it straight, but the property to the south shows a purported easement that goes right here. I don't know where it goes, but anyway, if the road is closed, the road closure will be made subject to any legal easements that are retained by any property owner. So they would be able to access that road if in fact that is a legal easement. Okay?
So if anybody else ever moved back and the DeBose or the others ever sold that property and they put a house on further down that road, they would still have access to it down that easement?
Absolutely. If the easement provided access along 50th,
Yeah.
you see, it might come from down here somewhere. And we'll see some more pictures in a minute because the Rock Bluff Springs Park backs up to this property down here. So I don't know if that's just as the back entrance to the park or what that is, but it's shown on the survey that was provided and not labeled as to who had the rights to that or not. But it's there. So as a board, you have to recognize that if anyone has a legal right to traverse that easement by way of 50th, that has to be honored even if you close the road. All you're doing is closing the public access to that road right away and vacating that. Okay?
Okay. Well, I got several comments, and I know there's some other people who want to speak on this that are here today. We also had several, Mr. Smith printed out some different comments that he got. You got a copy of that?
Yeah, let me go ahead and just wrap up my little presentation. No, I have them all right here. Let me wrap this up. We have the notice, we have the petition with a proof of publication that's required by statute attached to there it is, showing that it was advertised twice in the newspaper like it had to be done according to Florida statutes. We've also provided copies of the property appraisal, a copy of the survey, of course, copy of the property appraiser's information sheet showing Mr. Kent DeBose as the owner on the north side. That's right. You'll go back, Caitlin. You're perfect right there if you want to. This is Mr. DeBose right here. This is Mrs. Clark right here. This is 50th in blue or green, however you want to see it right there. Okay. And the little easement you saw on the drawing of the survey kind of comes this way. Okay. But we provided the property appraiser's information sheet for both DeBose, Mr. DeBose, and also for Ms. Mary Lou Clark on the south side of that roadway with the aerial photographs of both. And just before the meeting began, Mr. Thomas handed me something that had been provided to him. It seems like there was a complaint one time filed with the Swanee River Water Management District about some berms that were created along that roadway. But that was way back in 2006. Actually, that was from the Swanee River Water Management District. That should not affect the right of the county if it chooses to do so to proceed with any sort of road closure. But just for the record, I'd like to admit this document to the record that Mr. Thomas provided to me. It was done by Mr. Patrick Webster from the Swanee River Water Management District. It says owners bush hogging area and cutting through large berm over slough down to the river, cutting and opening in the berm for a boat ramp, river concerns. And of course, I think Mr. DeBose denied that he had cut that. And also there was some information in this report, and just reading it very briefly, that there had been a lot of trash and that sort of thing that had been thrown on the river. But just for the record, the letter from the Swanee River Water Management District memorializing the complaint was filed March the 10th of 2006. And just for the record, I'd like to have that admitted. And then, as you mentioned, Mr. Bill, there were some emails that were sent, to I don't know how many of you got these emails, but these happen to be to, Daryl Smith, one from, Ms. Linda Long, that says she has no problem with closing the roadway, that she states that she has, heard there's been things stolen from the neighbors next to the access. A four-wheeler was stolen, the boat was almost stolen. There are plenty of other locations to access the river. The access will not be missed. I'd ask that that be admitted to the record as an exhibit. Also, there's a letter or an email from Miss Denise Tanis on West 50th. I have no objection to the abandonment of West 50th. It isn't maintained by the county, so I don't think it's an issue for anyone but the two landowners that have to clean trash, drug paraphernalia, and beer cans from their properties. Please feel free to contact me. I'd ask that that be admitted to the record. There's a letter from Finn Layson. Also says I have no objection to the closing or abandonment of west portion of Northwest 50th Street. In fact, if the county will not maintain it, including repairing the collapsed culvert, the county should abandon it as a county road. He goes on and points out some other reasons in his email. I'd ask that that should be admitted to the record as an exhibit as well. And finally, there was an email from Vicky DeBose, to whom it may concern. I have no problem with the closure of the west end of Northwest 50th Street. Further, Kent DeBose is a friend and neighbor and always invites me to come on to his property and to the riverfront. So with that being said, if you admit those to the record, Mr. Clerk, there are some photographs that I was asked to include with the staff report. I can't really identify those. Mr. Smith might be able to identify those, but that's the first one. That's the second one. That's the third one showing flooding along the road. That's the fourth one showing a little golf cart, it looks like, or side by side. So you can see the growth on the roadway. Is that the last one, Ms. Caton? No, that's at the river. Okay, and then there was one final overall aerial map where you can see County Road 340, Swanee River, and the location of the property. So with that being said, I'll be happy to answer any questions the board might have, and then you should open it up to public comments. And then you would need to make a decision whether to approve or deny the request. And then if you choose for me to move forward, I'll read the resolution in its entirety for approval. Okay?
If I can, I'll make a couple of comments. Mr. DeBose contacted me back 6 or 8 months ago and basically showed me the area and the challenge that they've had, him and his neighbor, with folks going down there and leaving trash and illegal kind of activity. And so that's why I pursued it originally, and why we asked him to do a survey at some point to come up with the survey we've got. When we provided notice, one of the neighbors provided some information to some area in addition to what we provided as the county. And so the copies of the letters that I got an email, it had my name at the bottom. So I think that's why it came to me. And I got some calls as well. I had 5 letters of support, 6 calls in support, and I had 3 calls against, opposed to the closing. But I guess the original idea, the reason that I pursued it was, one, I understand the lot owners in that area have a common lot access to the river in addition to this area. The other was the county had not been maintaining it, and we either needed to maintain it or do something different, I thought. Also, Rock Bluff is within a mile or 2. There's a boat ramp just north of there where Judge Philman used to live. It's fairly close as well. So there's access. I'm not saying that access is important to our residents. I understand that. So just wanted to provide that. The other, as you saw in the picture, looking at the Water Management District website, that whole area is in a floodway, which means it's going to flood pretty often. I mean, every once to 2 years or so. And so for the county to improve it, it would be a challenge, I think, we'd have to get permits from the district, and, that's not saying you couldn't do it. But that's just a consideration that it is gonna flood pretty often. So, that's pretty much what I have, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else comment? Public, there were some people called me, that were against it and some for it. Come on up, tell us your name if you would, please, and
My name's Mike Kern, and I'm a resident out there. These are,
Okay, you wanna distribute these to the board members?
also what I'm gonna hand out is copies for each one of you, and, these are the 9 lot owners that basically have to use. So that needs to be. So I think the easement, you've already kind of addressed that pretty well, and I think you're taking that into consideration, which is good. One of my concerns is going to be that road has always been a public road. I understand the 2 landowners, I understand their position, I understand their complaints. What I'm saying to me is, everybody that lives on 50th Street could either walks or drives their UTVs and side-by-sides and all that kind of stuff, go back and forth down there. Not a lot, but occasionally. Are you willing to sacrifice their access to the river in that situation for 2 landowners? I understand the landowners too. I really do. If I was living alongside there, I don't think it's as extreme. I think have been a few situations where what you're saying has been true. But I think as a whole, you don't really see that. I just drove my full-size Bronco. Yeah. So it's doable.
All the way to River?
Yeah, it's doable. I can pull it with you. So it's doable. Yes, the road could use some improvement. There's a couple low spots, but they're not so low that I couldn't get a full-size truck through there. And I do not have big off-road tires and just marked tires. So my personal opinion is, yeah, I brought flats. I brought all this kind of stuff, but in 3 minutes. In there, it talks about all the way to the river. In there, it talks on the flats done back from when the road was first put in, with public access to the river. That's kind of my opinion on it. Do we as a society say, should people get to do the land grab so that the public can do that? That's me. Okay? Thanks.
all right, thank you very much. Any others? Hello.
Tina Hale from Bell. If you choose to move forward with a resolution and extend public access August long, my question is how would you go about stopping the public access, and how are you going to get that information out? Who's going to enforce it? Because I can see a potential problem with people going in and having access to this on a regular basis, and now they don't, and the landowners believing that they have right to protect their property now. So just looking forward, how is that going to be handled if in fact you move forward with it?
When we move forward with it, we would certainly come up with a plan of how to do that. But let's see if we're gonna move forward with it first,
Okay, thank you.
okay?
But, and I can help answer that from Ms.
Okay,
Hale
go
as
right
well.
ahead.
When you close the roadway, you'll no longer own it.
That's right.
The public will no longer own it. It'll be up to the adjoining landowners to protect that, but they must maintain any legal easements to anyone that shows that they have the right to access the roadway.
Okay, so it's
Okay.
up to when we give it over, it's no longer ours, so it's their responsibility to
By
close it
Flo-
off?
By Florida statutes, the survey you saw, if you close the roadway, it'll go to the center line of the public roadway that's being abandoned. Half will go to the north property owners, the other half will go to the south property.
And then there'd be no access from.
And there'd be no access to the public. But if you have a legitimate easement and can go through there, you have the right to utilize it if it utilizes 50 Avenue. We see no evidence that it does, other than there's a drawing on Ms. Clark's property on the south that shows what appears to be an easement coming southerly off of her property.
The main reason they want to close this road is because of illegal activity that's happening down at the end of it, possibly?
Yeah.
Is that what I'm gathering?
They're here and I'm
They're
guessing-
probably here, and we need to hear from them,
Okay.
from them as well.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and I think there was some issue about people going in there deer hunting and things like that on the roadway between the two properties down to the river, when he initially came up and talked to the board. I'm speaking to Mr. Cabot.
Okay.
Yeah, the other, just real quick, just south of Ms. Clark, who is the southern landowner, the Water Management District owns quite a bit of land all along there, and so I think people would have access through that if they wanted it as well. That's just another consideration.
My concern, given my background, is we've had, I don't know, 50 people, 100 people, having access to this land, and now they're not going to. And I can see potential for conflict with the new landowners, meeting these individuals with, no, you no longer can do this. So just proactively, I was wondering what the thoughts were and how that notification would get out there to prevent any, potential issues.
Well, number one, this has to be a notice of adoption of the resolution. If they pass, it has to be published again in the public record, in the newspaper. Then we send the notice of adoption with a copy of the resolution to your office, Todd's office, to have it recorded in the
Yeah.
official records. And then Todd actually goes in on the plat of Shady Bend subdivision, just below it, because it's part of the subdivision. It's a road along the south boundary of Shady Bend. And he'll write vacated by resolution number 2024-17, and that's the public notice there. And I presume if they want to, they can put a gate up there. They may not choose to do that.
And that's where I was going with all this, is just, I understand that ignorance isn't a defense. However, when people have access like this and all of a sudden it is gone, I just kind of wanted to understand if there's going to be, I understand the public notice, but a more visible public notice in that area, if you would, to prevent any kind of landowner stand your ground.
Right.
property
Well,
rights
they've
issues.
closed numerous roads over the years, a couple this past year that they've had to close for various reasons. And it's really not become an issue, but anything's possible in this day and age.
I
So it could.
understand, and that's why I just was
Yes,
asking the
ma'am.
board. Thank you very much.
Tammy, just one other real quick thing. I appreciate your consideration of the public. In addition to our notice, one of the neighbors took, and as far as I can tell, I got a call from somebody a mile away. And so I think they put this flyer in people's mailboxes or something. They got it to them. And so I got the 5 letters of support, 6 calls in support, and 3 calls against. And a couple of the folks are absentee landowners. They live in Tampa, St. Pete, and so they were a little confused about, were we closing all of 50th? And no, we're just closing, kind of towards the end. So there were more people. I guess there's a possibility somebody on the other side of the county is coming to it, and I don't know if they got notified, but there was a bigger group got notified, is what I'm
And
saying.
I don't want it to be, there to be a misunderstanding with the notice as, the closing per se. It's just, I can see a potential for a problem with people who have had public access.
Right.
Now you're cutting it off, and these homeowners are going to be coming forward saying, wait, you no longer have access, and there being a problem based on that. So that was my concern.
Yeah, I can
Thank you.
see that. I can see that being as a concern for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Bill,
Yes, sir.
Billy Cannon has a lot of information in this room, just on it, no?
Billy, can you give us let her speak, and then would you be willing to come up and give us what you have on this road? We hear you know a lot about this road. All right, after this young lady speaks.
Thank you. You were pretty excellent. Thank you. Thank you for the call.
You're welcome.
My name's Nancy Gilchrist, and I live in Shady Bend subdivision. And after much thought, I agree with this lovely other lady who just spoke. There has been problems along the road. I've lived here for 26 years, and there has been problems, but not enough to close the road to the public. To me, that is just too far. It seems very unfair to punish the public for a few bad apples. And as far as poaching and these types of things, we have two great SWC officers who come down in a minute. I mean, I've called them for years, just like a car, I've called them for poachers on my property. And so, to me, that's not a good reason to close public access to a road. Some say, oh, there's a mile and a half, you can get access to this one river. The mile and a half is not just down the road. And it's a lovely place. And yes, it does get flooded. And it hasn't been maintained, but when the river recedes to its bank, you can go back. Now, it seems unfair to me that two owners who control that end of the road, that long piece, that others can't access this one river. People do go down there, and they do enjoy it, and it is beautiful. And so I'm not for it, and I've spoken with Mr. Cannon about this road. He knows the road very well, and he knows the petitioner very well. And we've had lots of experiences with him, and I'm so happy that he's come up.
Okay, thank you very much for speaking. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Cannon?
Billy Cannon, only history I got from 2006 till I left in 2016. Now, I've been out there multiple times about this road. People have been threatening about going down it. I had to remove the gate off of it one time. We'd always try to go in there when the river flooded. That river, when it flooded, they had them cross culverts underneath it. And all that was an equalizer. Once it got to that point of the equalizer, there wasn't nothing nobody could do after that. And of course, watermen could tell you couldn't lift no road up that was in a flood zone. We learned that pretty hard back in 06, 07. But up until I left, we would go in there and we would remove the trees that floated off or floated in that road. But after 16, I have no clue what happened after that. I'd say I did remove a gate one time, took it back to the shop, so it got closed off.
Because somebody put a gate up?
Yes, ma'am. And it's not important to me who it is, so I'm not gonna say who put the gate up or who didn't put the gate up, but the county board told me to go take that gate down.
And the sheriff was on the board back then.
Yeah,
So was I.
and whenever I talked to, probably wasn't the sheriff back then, when I talked to him about it, he said, well, if the board closed it, then they closed it. He said, if not, we have to maintain where they can go through there. I mean, this is not just the landowners. I mean, it's probably anybody they are. I've never been by it. I've never been down it except for about 3 times. The history after 2016, I can't tell you about, garbage being dumped and all that, because I didn't have no dog in that hunt. Okay?
All right, thank you very much, Billy. Appreciate it. All right, any other comment? Yes, ma'am. We got that corner. She raised her hand first.
And Bill, you're gonna need to hear from Mr. DeBose.
Yes.
Warren Ebenezer. I've lived on 50th Street for 50 years. And that road has always been open, that the residents could go back there if they wanted to. And now people have moved in, and it's not just that road that floods, that whole area floods every time the river comes up. And I've seen water all the way up to the top of the hill just below my place with 8 and 10 foot of water over the road. And I don't think that the residents should be penalized that live there that want to go down that road. I mean, we're there, and, and if there's illegal activity down there, why don't they call the sheriff's office instead of trying to close the road to the residents? I mean, nobody's ever said if they've called the sheriff's department. Whoever petitioning to close the road should be here talking now and telling what they want to do, is my opinion. So, I'm totally against it. And, like I say, I've been there. I've seen it when there was nothing down there, when the airstrip wasn't even there. And now they got the airstrip and a bunch of houses down there, and they all flood. And they knew it was going to flood before they bought it. And it looks to me like it might be something to drive gain more land out of the deal closing the road. So.
All right.
That's
Thank
my
you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you, Mr. Chairman.
Appreciate it. Miss Stubblefield, I guess not Stubblefield anymore, is it? Come on up, it's your turn,
It's Bertha.
Miss Bertha.
Yes, so my name's Bertha, former known as Sutterfield. It is now Gilchrist. I live in Bell, Florida, 63rd Parish, so it's one of the roads right next to the 50th. I've been here for about 12 years, and I'm just gonna say, over my lifetime, me and my entire family, we go on the four-wheelers, ATV, side by side, and we go on this road, we go down to the river. You know, that's where we spend time with family. Everyone here has family, everyone has kids. I'm sure some of your fondest memories are going on the river, having barbecues, doing things and making those memories. And more than that, you know, coming home and knowing that this road might be shut down, it's actually really upsetting to me. Because while my husband's gone and deployed, when he comes back, that was one of the things I wanted to do, show him around, go on this road, show him the river. People that are not from here, they come here, they come to Bell to see the Swanee River. So what you're asking for the whole public to stop and to just get rid of that mark for us, as well as if it's not, I mean, I am one of the dear friend with one of the landowners. I do understand where it's coming from, and I understand the illegal activity, but that's with anything, anywhere. It's not just this one place. You know, you put a fence up, you abandon it, you tell people they can't come here, they're still gonna try to go down there. There's still gonna be illegal activity. Just because you put a fence up, it doesn't stop it, or at least not to me. I don't believe so. And I think there's gonna be conflict with it. And all I ask is, if you don't do it, I ask you to deny it, not maybe for the people now, yes, for the people living there now, but more than that, for my future generation, for our kids, for your grandkids, for your great grandkids. You know, they're gonna wanna go on this road. They're gonna wanna make these memories the same as you ever did with your family. And I know this is fond to me, and I'm very passionate about it. So I please ask you to deny this and keep the road open for public use. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bertha.
Ray Rouser, Rock Love. Make it short and sweet. I'm against any road closure to the river. Just the people on 50th are not the only people that go back there. So we can all go back there and enjoy that spot, and I'm against any road closure. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jordan.
Yes, Jordan, but I'm here tonight to speak about that road for my dad. My father is wheelchair bound, and he's not able to get up there and see. Like you heard, Mr. Eminek has lived out there 50 years. You're looking at somebody that was a pioneer when I was a kid. And Shady, when the airport and all that was built, I'm the one that was out there with a group of kids picking up roots and all that out there. So we got the luxury. I've been out there for 51 years. So we got the luxury going out there, working and all that. And one thing that we as kids, we always enjoyed going down there. This is before the Dome House, we call it Dome House, you know, was built. And before that subdivision was really broke open down there. To me, I'm against road closures also.
I was growing up there. My father talked to me Sunday, and he's against it. My mother said, I don't think I'd be for it either. They're too old to go down there. But my dad, every now and then, takes his golf cart down there. And that's the only rest of his life. He's 86 years old. He's paralyzed, but he loves getting in his golf cart going down there. So, I mean, of course, y'all can talk about the floods. Y'all growed up here too, you know. Like Mr. Emmernacker said, the floods come all the way up to our house. And it actually crosses the road right there in front of that. And Mr. Emmernacker actually had it up in his yard. So the good Lord can bring the water in. We see it every 10 years and it goes to the county. So we appreciate it if you look at it through your mind.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I've lived in Gilchrist County all my life. I grew up on the Santa Fe, and I grew up in Bell, and the Santa Fe always floods. I have lived on 70th, probably 24 years now, and no one ever uses that road that they're talking about. The only people that use that road are people who have ill intent, you know, they're not upstanding citizens that are actually going down that road. I've seen it where there's drug paraphernalia, needles, used condoms. I don't like to say that in public, but it's ridiculous. If the county wants the road to be there, then they need to stop that. That's ridiculous. And as far as them taking their children down there, I've been on that road. I can't even enumerate the amount of times I've been over there. The Pothole Springs is right across from there. If you people want to come down there, there's a common area that has a top that is not even a quarter of a mile from that entrance. So I don't understand where they're getting this from. I've used the common area for 24 years.
Who all has access to the common area?
I honestly don't know. My husband had it from my house when I lived there, and I couldn't tell you. It's just the people in State Bend, I suppose.
Okay.
And why is it that they can't use the common area if they live on 53rd? I don't understand that. I mean, it's clean, it's well kept. My boyfriend's friend goes down and mows it. We take care of it. Nobody takes care of it but Ken and I. We take care of that area, and it's kept well maintained. You know, where he's talking about he drove his sponsor down, the only way you can get out of that piece of property without trespassing on the other two sides is to back your vehicle all the way back off that road. I'd like to see through it because that culvert is completely gone. And it's probably 4.5 feet deep, I think.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. DeBose, is he here, would like to speak? Yeah, come on up.
This is on 500 Northwest 72nd Way. And, I'd like to say a few things. Everybody wanting to go to this, into the road river, you saw the pictures of the waterfront, the berm. Everybody wants to go down there and they end up going on either our property or the Clark property. But it's not that wide. It's really less now because of all the growth. And, you know, this is kind of ridiculous. And the person that came up here and said he blew his Bronco through there, tore up the what little road there is, you know, left, but in some mud and whatever because it's still wet on both sides. The culvert's blown out because it doesn't drain as well anymore, and that affects the properties to the north. But you know,
We're getting more water now than what it seems like we got when we first were here. The floods last longer and they're more frequent. It's every year now. And the water on the existing road, that's not built up very much, but it'll go underwater and then it'll come out of the water and it takes about a month for the road lightest four-wheelers can put a track through there. I'm the only one that I know of who's ever taken a shovel to it, gone down there and cut the big trees out of the middle of the road that keep falling over, or ever picked up so much as a limb or a twig or whatever. They're not gonna help. And as far as the county doing something, I've been here 22 years. And I've never seen a county truck down there. Matter of fact, when Billy was over that area, and he came out and said there was a gate that was there. And that was put there before our time, but apparently everybody lived with it. So it hadn't been open for no 50 years. So we, only have the one access to get down to the property. And I guess the main thing would be one car goes down, one four-wheeler goes down. That's it. Nobody else is going down there because you can't get off the road. You'll bury whatever you went in there. Now, we've got all these wild childs and stuff that we got people that are on dope, that leave dope paraphernalia down there. All kinds of trash and stuff that I get to pick up.
And I say that we have called the police on several
They
occasions.
just don't come. No,
Well, when
nothing
they do
personal.
come, there's no written report, but there's no report taken, but we have contacted law enforcement and met them out there, and all hours of the night, the caravans of four-wheelers go through the property that you were describing that has that easement on the park side. Well, that goes through all kinds of, I don't even know how many, all that back there is 20 River water management, except for like 3 lots, I think. And it just goes around, that's what people are driving to, four-wheelers starting at 72nd Way, and then going around and using that old logging easement or whatever it was that meets 50th, Northwest 50th Street. And then they come out in between us and Park. And that's where a lot of people do, they ride, but as far as, going and enjoying the river, they don't improve it to go down, whether it's the personal, of the individual that comes down there to, play in the river. Well, you saw the pictures of the riverfront, and the berm, but on the, within what, 30 feet, or whatever the footage is of the road itself, or we call it a trail, is, barely enough room for them to turn around. And we have a
There's
gate,
not enough room to turn around. You have to back into somebody's.
but we have a
whatever.
gate too.
And if you do that, it may very well be the last time you go into it, and that's the issue. You can't get a record down there.
Y'all know how wide that roadway is there?
Well, actually,
That
it's
the county-
shrunk down to about 14 feet now.
The
About 14
survey
feet.
said, well,
If,
yeah,
but
shrunk,
it's
the
not
survey
open.
30-something.
One of these pictures.
Yeah, I
is
went down there and looked at it. I'm just saying though, as far as a legal description, how wide would the county road be all the way to the river?
I think it says 34 feet, but
34 feet.
34 feet?
But that hadn't existed since we've been here. And it's more like it's gone from about 16 down to about 14. And if you go through there now, and if you it's gonna take your mirrors off when you go through it. It's a trail with water on each side. You ain't gonna park there, you ain't gonna turn around, but it's our only way to get water access to the property that we're paying taxes on, and this park. And the goings on down there is, I've been offered murder for hire. I've had my life threatened down there. It's like there must be an ad in front of a prison somewhere that tells them this is a great place to go. And I can kind of follow that, not necessarily for anything the police department may do or not do. It's that they know they can't get down in there. If they do, it's gonna be a really big deal. And so they're either reluctant to go, but we've called numerous times, had them come one time. So, I'd like to have it closed, we'd like to have it closed, and the park would like to have it closed.
It's not,
All right, you need to finish up. We've given you 6 minutes since there were 2 of you. So,
okay, if it's so important for the public to come down there and have county should maintain it, but, you know,
We ought to be able to put a road in down
Somebody
there for
wants
about
water.
$1 million, $1.5 million.
All right, well, thank
somebody
you.
wants waterfront, they should buy waterfront. We pay our taxes for the waterfront we have.
All right, thank you.
How much did you spend on the survey?
Short
The survey was $13.50,
1350, okay.
and I guess that's all.
All right.
Thank you very much. Especially in this, thing.
Yes, sir. 3 minutes. We're trying to give it. I gave them longer because they're involved in it and there's 2 of them, so I gave them 6 minutes. But 3 minutes, please.
Hi, my name is Mary Clark.
We live on the property, and one of our worst things is people on our property. Because unfortunately, you can't drive down the road. So for her, most of them to get on the road, they go through our road. Most of the road. And people go straight on our property, and then they like our property, and they ride all over our property for hours. Not to mention hunters. Hunters will be out in the yard and really close to us. We hear gunfire. We go back inside. We don't get shot. And it's a constant deal. And they're always kids most of the time. And they're just out there running around for hours at a time on my property.
And we've had them back there riding motorcycles at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, 2 or 3 in the
waking us
morning they're
up.
doing it.
Do you have your property posted?
Yeah, and it doesn't stop them. It doesn't.
We even put signs on it, and the next couple of days, the signs are all taken down. So we
They
can't take them out.
don't matter.
Yeah.
The signs don't matter to them.
I could put 4 trees, I just put 4 signs down, and in a couple of days, they'll all be gone.
Yeah. And they take them down and everything.
But all those people that are going down that way, they're not just going down there, they're going from my property. They're going there because they want to play on my property. And they spend most of their hours on my property.
And then somebody one time, their refrigerator, their food got spoiled. They dumped it on my property, and I had to go out there and clean it all up.
Yeah, we go down every now and then and try, and we pick up trash, and we probably fill 2 or 3 bags full of trash that people just throw. Of course, when the flood comes, the flood just rushes right back out, and it takes all the garbage out, but we try to clean it.
But I don't like that 3 o'clock in the morning, they go back there, and I hear them. And, you know, and I've got a teenage daughter there. So, granddaughter out there.
All right. Thank
So
you
I
very
worry
much.
about that too.
All right, thank you. All right, anybody else? Come on up, sir. Give us your name when you get up here and.
My name is Guy Roy. I own a piece of property, 3 lots from the road that you want to close. I need guaranteed access to that road. And how is the county, how is that gonna work out? Where I have a guaranteed access to that road and you close the road and I no longer have that access.
It could work, Mr. Lang, you tell us if this is right or not, but if you ended up closing it and putting the gate, you'd have a gate, like a key to the lock to get into the gate. And if that is actually, the case, you got legal.
That would be wonderful, but do you really think that the 2 parties that are posting or wanting to go through this road are gonna put a gate there with a lock that I have access to? That's the key I have to, I mean, you give this guy the permission, that road is unaccessible to nobody.
Well, what
I
kind
can
of
hear it in their voice, how about, you know, and I don't agree or disagree with what they're telling you. It's just, my deed tells me I have the right. The Second Amendment tells me I have the right? So we're taking away something that we probably should take away. I mean, this is, you know, now for somebody that lives outside that neighborhood that is just using that road, that's a little different. My property's got access to that road, to the road. And, you know, it could become legal
is what I see. You know, it could get ugly over two parties, you know. I've been down there. I drove my Chevy 2500 yesterday or Saturday, all the way to the river. Drive. It's so thick that nobody wants to drive a car down there. The length or you know, the ground. But those properties are not fenced. Nobody really knows where the property starts and begins. So, you know.
Well,
maybe
apparently it's
maybe-
34 feet wide is what we've been told.
Yeah, it's thin. It's probably less than that. And it's washed up a little bit, but it's, like I said, it's dry. It's dry to be right now. Now, a month ago, it's 10 foot of water. You know that. I saw. So, but that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
So the property's now been surveyed, so there should be some markers out there that reflects the actual size of the road just for the Boses and Clarks if you do close it. But as I told you before, if in fact the gentleman does have a legal easement to 50th, then he's gonna be able to utilize that regardless of whether or not they close the road. If in fact he's just speaking because it's a public road that he has the right to use it, the county commissioners on behalf of the citizens owns the roadway and has the right to vacate and close the roadway. So he might not have that. He'd have to look at his deed that says you have an easement to 50th to access the Swanee River. And of course, that would control if he has an easement that actually says that. But if he's just speaking about being able to use 50th Street, that's an entirely different issue.
But his deed would show that, wouldn't it?
Well, his deed should show that, or his title policy should show that, or something on the plat of Shady Bend should show that, you know what I'm saying? But as
If he's
far as
got a
him,
legal easement, it would have to be recorded somewhere,
yeah, that's
if he
right.
has a legal easement.
That's correct.
Well, I hate closing any public road, especially one that's been open as long as this has, and denying people access to the river. I understand the Clarks and the DeBose. I live at Sun Springs, and sometimes it became a party place. We'd go down there and be dirty diapers and all the trash they brought, and it'd be scattered everywhere. And I was young, my daddy used to make me clean it up, so I knew what it was all about. I have to clean up people that have been down there partying and drinking. And we ended up having to fence things off down there because of that exact same type of activity. I would love to see us come up with a solution that would clean up the problem a little bit, yet still provide access for people to go down that road. And I would love to hear any suggestions that anybody might have that would kill these two birds with one stone.
Well, I understand their problem, but we don't have a park in Gilchrist County that we don't have the same problem.
Yeah.
They've destroyed 47, they've destroyed Waters Lake, they destroy everything. So they're not unique in the problems that they have. That happens throughout the county all the time. But, I'm not in favor of closing public access because once you close it, you lose it, you don't ever get it back.
And I'm not in favor either, Commissioner Langford.
Is there any other people wish to speak? All right, so
Do you have something on official? No, I can see both sides of the fence and getting know what's going on and people using it. And like I say, it belongs to the county, I think. And if it belongs to us, if we ain't gonna close it, we need to start maintaining it a little bit better.
that was my suggestion.
I would agree with that. So I'm making motion to.
We gotta read the resolution, we're gonna vote for the resolution, okay? But I just wanted to point out too, you do recall though that you did give up Philpott Park for the very same reason.
We did. Well, they just went back to and.
But you closed it off first to keep people out of there because they were destroying it. Then we had to tear down the bathhouse.
Yep.
Remember that?
And we tore down everything at Waters Lake.
That's right. But what we have to do, we need to read this resolution, have a motion or motion to approve or motion to deny, vote on that, and then we'll have that in the record, okay?
Okay.
Resolution number 2024-17, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Gilchrist County, Florida to vacate, abandon, discontinue, and close that portion of the right-of-way of a public roadway known as Northwest 50th Street, also known as Willow Lane, lying in sections 5 and 8, Township 8 South, Range 14 East, Gilchrist County, Florida, being more particularly described by a lengthy meets and bounds legal description is shown in attached Exhibit A hereof. The portion of the public roadway to be vacated and closed is west of the intersection of Northwest 50th Street, Willow Lane, and Northwest 72nd Way, Shady Bend Trail, and extends westerly to the Swanee River. And that's reading the resolution by title only. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion, we deny resolution number 2024-17.
Second.
I got a motion by Commissioner Langford, a second by Commissioner Langford to deny resolution 2024-17. I am going to, just to let everybody know, I'm in favor of leaving it open also, but I would like us as a commission to start looking at, if nothing else, cleaning the road out so people have access and putting a turnaround area so they don't have to go on these people's property to do that. And then, closing it at night, I mean, is that something that can be done, or, is that, I would assume that's when most of the legal activity is going on. Could it be closed during the nighttime hours?
You can do that if you come back to the board and pass a resolution to do that. You gotta have proper FDOT signage and that sort of thing for the protection of the public. If you're gonna have a gate, you're gonna have somebody's gonna have to shut the gate.
Yeah.
That's another issue that's always a
Yeah.
stickler.
We've worked that out, it's worked pretty good for the last few years.
The road may not be that wide, and the trail they got might not be wide, but if there's a 34-foot easement, then people's not really getting on their property to turn around. They may fall in the ditch and get stuck, but there's plenty of room without trespassing, but it may not be accessible, it may not be easy to do.
Right.
But to say they're getting on their property, they may not be getting on their property. There's 34 feet there.
Right. All right, we have a motion to deny it in a second.
Just real quick, a comment. So you political candidates, here's one of those situations where you got, it's a tough decision, really. You got folks that are having, as DeBose and Clark's, people being affected. And there are folks out here that make comments that I have a lot of respect for. But you can also see where I think I agree with you guys that as a county, we've got to commit to helping resolve the issues with this road. And so I don't know, Bobby, how the best way to, who can, for us, assess what's needed and what kind of permitting would be needed and potential solutions for turnaround, and then also talking to the sheriff's office as far as enforcement of. I know they're doing the best they can do. They're overmanned out with and trying to keep up with all the things they try to keep up with, and so I just think we owe it to these folks to do some follow up. And the other consideration is they've done a survey, and I don't know. I hate it that if we don't close it, they've done a survey and it costs them $1,350. If there's anything that we can do related to that, just some thoughts here.
All right, well, right now we have a motion to deny resolution 2024-17. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
And I do sympathize with them. I appreciate everybody coming and commenting. I know there's both sides to it, but I can't give up access to the river when people.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
there was, Commissioner Smith asked some questions there. We can bring back, and we have several parts that we do have a gate system, and somebody has volunteered to open and close that gate, because most of the activity happens under the cover of dark. So, we can bring back something for that. However, I do agree with him. Mr. DeBose and them came in November, and we talked about closing the road, and at that time agreed that the road probably could be closed, but this is why we have these meetings, that can change. But we did tell them that their part would be they would have to go pay for this survey and all. So I would like to see if we can, because we did encourage them to do this survey as we had with many people. If they would present us with a survey, well, we have a copy of the survey actually. And so we have that. We were gonna need that to go and try to do what we need to do anyway. So we couldn't go in there. We'd had to have a survey. Let's at least give them back their $1,350. Because the survey is gonna be important to us. If you wanted us to go in there and do anything, we're gonna have to have a survey to know what to do.
We won't have to get a survey now that
We
they've got it.
already will have it. We have a copy of the survey.
We could have them
And,
recertify it for the county.
Yeah,
It
we'll-
was certified in favor of the doses, but we can get it
Okay, and I would like the DeBose and Clarks
Need
to
a
know,
number.
this is not done. We're gonna look and see what we can do to make yourself a little bit better, and you can't speak from out there. I can let you come up to the podium and speak, but I don't mind you doing that, but you can't speak out there because it's all gotta be recorded. You have to come up here to speak.
On a suggestion, on the other side of Mary Clark is 1,000 acres or more that the water management owns. If you want to build a park for the county to go to, you already have the property. They sure as hell won't use it, nor maintain it. So what's wrong with that? Looking at that.
Well, we're gonna look at a lot of different options, I think.
Thank you.
We're gonna try to help you all out in some way.
We're gonna try to make it where
Do
they
we have to have a
turn
motion
around.
on that to reimburse them?
Yes, we will need a motion for that.
All right, we got a motion to reimburse them on their, fees for having it surveyed. We got a motion by Commissioner Thomas. Second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right.
And just to clarify again, we would have had to pay for a survey anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we're gonna pay for it anyway, and I don't have any problem with that at all.
And I wanted to know what the dimensions were to start with, so now we all know, and now we
Yep.
got a survey, we got everything.
And we'll see what we can do to make that road a better road. Yes, sir.
I want to thank you for your ideas, Billy. I think it's a perfect idea. As far as flooding, I've been back there. I've seen the airport with 5 foot of water in it. It happens here. Get used to it, people, when you first came here,
Right.
because this is what we live with,
That's
okay?
right.
You also live with people shooting. The other night, up 10 o'clock, in back of our property, which is our borders with a spring, people were shooting. We get used to it. I do it, everybody does it. That's the way it is here. This is what we live with. So we're living in a blessed county as far as I'm concerned, and I thank you for your input.
All right.
The gentleman that brought the pictures up,
You can pick them up right here at the end of the meeting. All right, anything else? All right, we laid that to rest right now. We will work on trying to come up with something else. Got another time certain that we've already passed, but we'll move right into that. Time certain SD 2024-01.
Good evening, Commissioners, Brandon Stubbs, Senior Planner for North Florida Professional Services. And I'm here representing the county on, this minor subdivision. It was an application by Natalie Lincoln of Hometown Realty. Who is representing Victor and Mary Sharon, Brandon Hendricks, and Steve and Faith, Hargis. Again, this is a minor subdivision which consists of 3 less lots, which already has access to existing public right of way. Give you a little history about this parcel. This parcel was one parcel at one time, and it was inadvertently.
Here, if you pick that mic up.
we can turn it up. We can turn it up. We can
Turn it up a little bit. People are having a hard time hearing them. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
When there was, it was inadvertently divided into 3, which, Florida statute 380.04 says that when you divide a parcel into 3 or more parcels, creates a subdivision. And, unfortunately, these property owners bought these parcels not knowing that it was divided, in an improper manner and not according to Florida statute for the county's land development regulations. And, thank them for their patience going through this process, and it's been the property owners were able to get together and and come together and do this final plat. And, they have met all the requirements under,
We'll get it.
they've met all the requirements under the county's LDRs and Florida statute. Our surveyor, James Smith, has reviewed it in accordance with chapter 177, and has issued a complaint. The recommendation of the board approve this online subdivision.
Any view from the public out there on, this resolution? Or this, not a resolution?
Subdivision application.
Subdivision,
There you go. There you go.
yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Mr. Cohen. I'm one of the parties involved.
Yes, sir.
And I was just hoping that it would get approved today, so, like I said, I've been homeless, for almost 9 months, living out of shooting boxes. My neighbor's, my nephew's house. I just want to get this on a paid my house already, I just need to get it on there. That's all I have.
All right,
All right.
all right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, what do we want to do?
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve, SD 2024-01.
Second.
I got a motion by Commissioner Smith and a second by Commissioner Thomas to approve SD 2024-01 for the Trinity Acres subdivision.
I have a question. Isn't that somewhat, Brian, isn't that somewhat in that area that we've been talking about before? Somewhere over on the northwest side of the county?
Southwest.
You know, it would be on the westerly side, out over near 232.
Oh, 232?
Just east of 232.
And just south of the old tree farm.
That's right.
Okay. If I read this right, you sent Natalie some updates and some corrections to be made?
Yeah, all that's been taken care of, so the
But
surveyor has made
But
it.
your last paragraph on the last page says, once all items have been satisfactorily corrected, an application will be scheduled to be heard by the planning and zoning board and subsequently by the city commissioners. Should that be county?
County commissions.
Yeah.
County commissioner.
It's just a typo.
On an email. Is it an email?
No, it don't look
No,
like it.
Staff report?
It's got his name and all at the bottom. Go down to the very last page, the very, very last page, all the way to the bottom. I have to go back up a little bit, I guess.
There's an email that was.
Email had it in it.
It's the page up before that map right there.
Go one before
Yeah,
there.
go back up.
Page 67.
That's it right there. Is that what you got?
Yeah, I guess. Somehow mine.
Tell me, page 58.
I just. There it is, right there.
58.
Zoning board and
paragraph 2.
by the city commissioners.
County commission.
That should be county?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's just,
Okay.
That and the next page up has the same.
that's a Freudian slip.
It's just a typo.
All right.
Brandon, talking to the Rankins, they were very complimentary of your response time and how you handled this, and so we appreciate what you're doing.
And I appreciate y'all and everything that's going on. Thanks, Commissioner.
I ain't had no complaints either, thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
No, not yet.
Okay. I didn't think, but I didn't,
No,
but
we
sure,
haven't.
we have a motion and a second to approve, SD 2024-01 for Trinity Acres subdivision. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, we can move back up. That's the last time certain. We'll move back up and continue where we left off. I believe we're still in the county administrator's report.
Yes, sir.
C,
Started with, number 7, emergency management, right?
I think, has he done Motorola?
No, he
We
hasn't.
gotta do Motorola.
We didn't do Motorola. Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
Motorola invoice.
Here we go.
We have an invoice in here for Motorola, and it's in the amount of, $1 million,
Thank you.
$1,521,515.87. This is for the public radio system, and I just, instead of putting this consent agenda, I wanted to kind of explain it. If you'll remember,
If y'all could carry it outside, please, so we can continue. Thank you.
if you remember, we entered into a lease agreement on the system, and when we entered into the lease agreement, we had applied for the appropriation funds. We just didn't know whether we were gonna receive them or not. So we did receive the appropriations grant, which will cover more than this invoice. It was for a little over 1.9 million for some additional things, but what we'd like to do, we've received all of this equipment now. The equipment's been installed. We're using the system. So we'd like to go ahead and just pay this off, and then we can submit to get the county's money back. So, but we need approval to make this payment. Again, that payment amount is $1,521,515.87.
Mr. Smith, is this system working the way we expected it to work? So, okay, good. We're gonna spend $1.5 million. I want it to be right.
Well, it's,
Okay.
you know, some of the things that we're still doing, this isn't Motorola. They're working with the school because wanted the school to be out when they're doing all of those radios. So that has nothing to do with them. We have the equipment, got it up. So they still got some things that we're working on our side, but this side is.
Motion to approve the pay the invoice.
All right, we got a motion to approve, the invoice for Motorola.
Second.
We got a second from Commissioner Thomas. All those in favor of approving the invoice for Motorola signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Glad that was covered by grant money.
We got very lucky because at first we thought we were gonna have to pay that. That's why we entered into the lease. So that was very
It
fortunate.
was mandatory too, wasn't it?
This
pretty
wasn't
much.
mandatory. It wasn't mandatory, but you might as well say it was because our other system was failing, so it had to be repaired.
But we had some real issues. We had to do something.
Oh, yeah, yes, sir, yes, sir. You couldn't have left it that way. It was getting to the point, it could involve the safety of someone, so. That's all fixed, so that's good. The next thing is emergency management grant. We receive 2 each year. This is one of the 2 that, Mr. Smith has received so far. It's the EMPA grant for $105,806. And this is a grant that helps operate the emergency management department. So we just need approval so the chair can sign this, and then we can send it back and we'll be able to receive that funding.
Motion to approve it and let the chair sign.
Second.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Thomas and a second by Commissioner Langford to approve the the EMPA grant for emergency management. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that completes my report unless y'all have some questions at this time.
All right, good deal. We configured got our time certain, but Mr. Lang still had a miscellaneous things here, and he also had an addition to the agenda that we can cover.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under my attorney's report, we did our resolution at the 4:30 times certain. I apologize that it took longer than what we expected. Delayed Mr. Brandon Stubbs on his presentation of Trinity subdivision, but in any event, first item I have up under miscellaneous is the proposed ballot language for the binding referendum on Sunday alcoholic sales in the unincorporated areas of the county. That'll be on the general election ballot for November the 5th, 2024. I need to have that approved by the board where I could send that over to the supervisor so she can make sure that it gets properly printed up, and it has to be actually advertised for several weeks. And you'll see that the one that's up on the screen has what I propose to publish it on September 26th, October 3rd, October 10th, October 17th, and October 31st. It's got some nuances in the statute that has to be published at least 2 times so many weeks before the upcoming general election. So this is the same ballot that we utilized the last time this issue was before the board, with the exception that the date for the general election has been changed. Also, this is now based upon board requirements and board approval. This is a binding referendum amending time and days of sale of alcoholic beverages in the unincorporated areas, which would allow for Sunday sales if it passed, between 7 a.m. and 12 midnight on Sundays.
So usually it's 2 a.m. during the week, and on Sunday it's 12, is that my understanding? During the regular week, how late can you sell alcohol to?
You know, I knew you was gonna ask that.
2 o'clock?
2 a.m. on Sunday.
I've got the county ordinance. Fridays and Saturdays between the hours of 7 a.m. and 2 a.m. the following day, at no time on Sundays after the hour of 2 a.m. All other days of the week between the hours of 7 a.m. and 12 midnight. Number 4, December 24th, Christmas Eve, and December 31st, New Year's Eve, between the hours of 7 a.m. and 2 a.m. the following day, unless either December 24th or December 31st falls on a Sunday, and then at no time after the hour of 2 a.m. on that day.
Okay, so since Sunday ends at 12, can they sell alcohol after 12?
Nope.
Because it's Monday morning?
Nope, don't
Okay.
start back up till 7 a.m. on Monday morning,
Okay,
and then it goes to 12 midnight.
all right. That's what I just wanted to make sure. So
Yep.
it's only till midnight.
Only till midnight,
Okay. What do y'all want to do?
just like the other days of the week, except for the Saturday.
I'll make a motion, we'll send it to the supervisor election.
All right, we have a motion to approve this.
Second.
And a second by, motion by Commissioner Langford, a second by Commissioner Thomas to approve the, proposed, language for the, referendum on alcohol sales. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Next item I have up is just correspondence that I've received from the Career Source North Central Florida, Ms. Phyllis Marty, Career Source Manager and Chief Executive Officer, based upon correspondence that was received from the Florida Department of Commerce. Of course, this board had approved an interlocal agreement that we had anticipated the other rural counties would enter into. Several of them chose not to enter into it, so consequently, we did not have an interlocal agreement with Alachua and Baker County that we were in agreement for. The consolidation took place notwithstanding this fact, and the Career Source has assigned the fiscal agent to be Alachua County, and now we're all in the same boat with them, pending, I guess, ultimately, an interlocal agreement being provided based on the one that Alachua County had sent us before. But as we speak, we don't have one, and this just says that the original agreement that we had with Florida Crown and the state of Florida and Department of Commerce is no longer in effect. And I'm providing that basically for information only. Ms. Sharon is your representative on the consortium still for the counties that are involved in it. And so, as we speak, I don't think there's any other action that we take at this particular time.
All right.
They pretty much put Alachua and Bradford County oversee it
They did, they absolutely did.
against their will.
Against our will. But it's
Okay.
gonna work. I mean, we're gonna make it work. We're gonna work with them and do what we can to make it work.
I know on our career day thing that we had, a work day thing we had at the library.
Yep, there was somebody from Alachua County.
Yeah, well, that Career Source, they had
They had a lot.
way more jobs than they
Yes.
had people willing to take them. I mean, they had pages and
They
pages.
had
of
paid,
jobs
I
available.
picked that up too. There was pages and pages.
Jobs
And
available.
so, we're gonna be added on that list now that we're with, Alachua County, so.
Good.
And we did not lose our one stop in Old Town, so that's still gonna be there.
Next item I have for your information, and I believe the board may know this, but the appeal case on the Duke solar farm issue was heard by the court on July the 9th. The circuit judge ruled without leave to amend the consolidated cases that were brought by Diane Hyatt, Charles Hyatt, Scott Hossack, Melissa Hossack, and Teresa Hossack petitioners. He dismissed the case against the county and Duke Energy without leave to amend. So therefore, the county has prevailed in that action, subject to the right of the appellants to appeal the case. I believe they have 30 days from the date that the order is actually rendered. And I believe the rendering date would be the date that the order is signed. If, I'm thinking back on my old civil procedure days because I wasn't actively involved in that. But that's the issue. There is an appeal period. It runs 30 days. I think it's 30 days from the date that the judge signs the order. Once the appeal period runs, then the board will need to determine, based on information from the county attorney and Ms. Boyles, who handled the appeal on behalf of the county, where the board had granted Duke's petition to construct the solar farm, whether or not the board wishes to seek attorney's fees and costs. And I'm going to ask Bobby in just a moment what he thinks roughly the taxpayers have paid so far for that case to defend us up to that point. So with that being said, I'll ask Bobby if he could just give us a ballpark figure.
On the solar case, and we still have some invoices pending that haven't came in yet, it's approximately $31,000.
On the solar farm?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there's no action we need to take now. We're gonna have to wait until the appeals period runs. And then when Ms. Boyce gives us permission to finalize it out, we'll come back before the board and see what the county wants to do and what Duke Energy intends to do. They actually got into the case as an intervener. The lawsuit, the folks I mentioned were the petitioners. We were the respondents. Because it affected their interest, they were then allowed to intervene as a party, and they cooperated in the defense on the motion to dismiss case that was actually filed.
So,
Okay?
Mr. Lang,
Yes.
related to recovering costs, I know, Bobby, when you and I met with Senator Bradley, we pointed out that we had a challenge. It's going to cost the county money. And we asked her to consider, when she considers other changes to the state law, since it's basically said the county is required, and this court case is just kind of upheld, they consider reimbursing the county when we have to defend the state law, basically. And so I don't know, I mean, it's bigger, it's part of a bigger strategy to try to change the state law. We've talked to the Florida Association of Counties, the Small County Coalition. We're hoping to get them to agree with us that it should be a legislative priority this next legislative session. And so that would be one of the things I would want to suggest we do to change that state law, that if we have to defend ourselves, and we should get reimbursed somehow. I don't know if that, you agree or disagree? Or...
No, I agree, and I think that's a good point, and that's how you work through your legislative process. But
If the state's gonna make us do something, they should pick up the cost.
it's almost like a mandate, an unfunded mandate, when they pass a law and then you have to defend and you get challenged there. But you had no choice because, I stand behind the advice that you were given before, and numerous attorneys have also concurred in that you had to approve it because they forced you to approve it. They said you shall approve it.
Mhm.
But then that doesn't take away someone else's right to say, well, I want to appeal. I don't think you should have approved it, or for some technicality, you shouldn't have approved it. But that being said, we did what we had to do. And
Yeah, I don't think the taxpayers should have to pay for the bill at all.
I would be in favor of pursuing reimbursement.
I would too.
well, we'll have to see what Duke
Right,
Energy and
when that time comes.
when it comes. That's right. I just wanted to make that announcement, and that's something that has occurred that ought to make the board, a little happy with that. There was another case. It actually didn't go to a lawsuit, but it was a complaint by Mr. Robert N. Kinsey through the Veterans Administration, Department of Veterans Affairs, where he had filed a complaint concerning the letter that he complained of was in response to an employment complaint that was filed with the FDVA pursuant to the Florida Administrative Code based on failure to grant him veterans preference in employment. And we had the Rumberger law firm representing the county, and I just want to read it. This is a letter that was dated June the 14th, 2024, from the Department of Veterans Affairs, Office of the Executive Director, and it was directed to Mr. Robert N. Kinsey, and it says, In addition, it should be noted that regardless of veterans' preference, agencies are not required to interview nor consider applicants that have not or could not meet their employment screening standards for various reasons, if those reasons are well documented. In this case, the employer has demonstrated that you did not satisfy the established policy requiring 2-week notification before resignation, and as such, and as a result, the FDVA has determined that your complaint lacks merit for case VP 24.25-008. I just want to say, there was a 20-day appeal period on that as well, and it was 20 days from, it states the receipt of the letter dated June the 14th, so I think the appeals period has already run on that. But I just want to pay a special compliments to Miss Tammy Moore, your HR director, because she kept meticulous records and knew exactly when things came in and when things went out, and that was provided to the law firm, and then, of course, the law firm was able to represent us based on the records that Ms. Moore was able to maintain for us.
How much did that cost?
The Kinsey case so far has cost us $3,700, and we still have a few invoices coming in. But again, I'd like to echo Mr. Lane, the records that Ms. Moore had and the way she has processed that is what made this case.
And she had to work through this with the lawyers and with the different agents, because there was a couple of different complaints that were going on at the same time with a couple of different county agents, us and another constitutional officer at the time. And she had to work through all that and document when requests were made and when, the time frame on that, and present that to the attorney. So again, I just, I feel thankful that she was able and did such a good job on behalf of the county.
Can we look at getting this money back also, since it was the taxpayers that had to pay it?
I don't think you can on that one particularly, because we might can. I'll talk to Ms. Moore about it. I don't think a lawsuit was actually filed. It was just a complaint through their department. So you have no provision under the Florida statute for a frivolous complaint or something like that, like you do when people actually file lawsuits. If there's no ground, if there's no merit for them, then you can file those requests for attorney's fees. But here it was an administrative action, strictly through the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Right. We have a request to take a real quick 5-minute break. We've been here now for going on 6 o'clock since 4, so we're going to take a 5-minute recess, and we'll come back and finish Mr. Lane's report and conclude the meeting. We've got a 5-minute break.
Okay. Yeah. I'll come back and ask you.
Rhonda, congratulations.
Where we stand, have you done it too?
My aunt,
Because I want to announce it.
my aunt stopped the COVID right now, so we didn't make it yesterday. They left today, so, my
Yes, sir.
mama's sister,
Yes, sir.
and then her daughter Nicole, and her husband,
Yeah.
3 kids, so they came down
Yes, sir.
Friday night.
What about if I pull it down?
Yes, sir. Do what?
When I RSVP'd, I didn't realize that the weekend was coming, but. we have
Yeah,
a
that's all the
boy.
public streets in the subdivision itself. They dedicate that. So the county now owns all the streets in Shady Bend, but this road's not in Shady Bend. No. Yeah, and even if it was, since he gave it to the public, which is the Board of County Commissioners, they could vacate it. Yes, sir.
Bless her heart.
Happens all the time. They do it all the time. Yeah. That's correct. That's right. They can maintain that right. But you gotta get your document that says it's either on your deed or you got an easement. You see what I'm saying? But now it doesn't matter because they didn't close the road.
And like, well, the woman got up, I didn't. The lady that said the prayer.
Yeah, going forward, that's good to know, but on 50, Southwest 50, they didn't close it. It's the same as it was. Okay?
That's why I have problems with my hearing aid.
But
Because I can hear you.
I gotta get up.
But I may not
can't
can hear them. I've had a couple. Tweak it. Yeah. Yep. Well, see, my hearing aid, they're supposed to go 1, 2, 3, and I can adjust them. But I gotta have them serviced right now. But yeah, I have a hard time hearing them.
There you go. I don't like it. I'll be good against you.
Yeah, it's special. Now, rentals are kind of fun, but that was probably
They did have to do more.
what's the answer? 60/40 what? What drive you said?
Maybe sign is okay.
What'd you say the name was?
Whether you're okay or not.
Okay, I'll have someone look at it. If I got a question, I'll give you a call. Well, that's all right. That don't matter. As long as they're not legal. If they're legal, they can't stay. If they're illegal.
Well, they can do that. Somebody said, "No, I'm not the only one who lives there." Jade and I.
But I'll look it up anytime and I'll call you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it would be code enforcement that would look into it, and she is at the road. So if he stops, okay?
Let's get it going. All right.
Sorry.
Good to see you.
We did, I stayed for Springs until about 3:10 and I changed down here and I got here.
Are you
And
good
they
to
left
see
to go
you?
back, they
Just
went back
make
to
sure
Tampa.
you're sound into the.
Gonna be at the beach tomorrow, and go back to South Dakota Wednesday. It did rain on me, so.
Mr. Crosby and the rest.
Oh, yeah, Shelby said it rained on her on one night,
Lee, how you doing?
but it was nice.
That'll work.
I'm tired.
Good to see you.
I'll check it home. I've been doodling. Doodle, doodle, doodle. Ready, ready, ready.
We'll crank her back up. Mr. Crosby gonna join us back?
How are you?
Yeah, he was in the back.
Good to see you, sir.
My first year teaching, I stood up and they said, Mr. Martin, he get up on my shoulder. Mr. Martin. Makes you hold. Yeah, man. I was 22 years old teaching and everybody was calling me Mr. Martin. I never been called that in my life. No, no. But I'm feeling. Yeah. All right.
Bill, give me a minute, I want to speak to that lady, that's
Get this thing going, y'all can visit after a while.
Redo the seal between the pants.
We'll never get it back.
And I understand that residents' problem. We had the same problem at Sun Springs for a while. We did right on the street. And it became, you look out there 11 o'clock at night, there'd be a big barn fire. All that, but Dad was alive, he kind of kept all that stuff away, he passed away. My mom was not, but all the grass.
No. Oh, good. No one of us darn thing went off. Yeah.
Tammy, you need to go get Willow? You need to go get Willow, you'll find it.
me and
It's
Sherry.
coming up. It's coming
I
up.
understand. All right, we'll bring this, call this meeting back to order. And, so we still got some things to cover on the agenda. So, I'm gonna turn it back over to Mr. Duke, Mr. Lanning, and let him finish his report.
All right, I'm almost done. We got two more cases pending too, and Bobby was gonna give you an update on the cost, to the county so far on those two cases, and then I had two other items after that.
We had North Florida Dairies, which is complete and it's done. That one is, right at $77,000. On that one. And then our
And
pending.
the county prevailed in that case.
And the county
as well.
prevailed in that case as well. And then on the ABT Trust in Jordan case, it's still pending, and we spent approximately $35,000 on it so far.
So the dairy one, or can we get the money back on that one then?
we can, when Miss Patrice Boyce is, out this week. As soon as she gets back, we'll see how to move forward on that. Okay.
Okay. I think that concludes the litigation portion. I would just want to give you an update on the Jenny Springs situation. Ms. Boyce has been working very closely with the attorneys for Jenny Springs. They have actually drafted a memorandum of understanding with what they'd like to see in their new rules and regulations out there. She has taken a look at it, and she's made some suggestions to benefit the county on those regulations as well. And what happens is, once this thing is completed to her satisfaction, then she or I will present this to the board for the new rules and regulations out there between Jenny Springs Outdoors LLC, Board of County Commissioners, as well as the Gilchrist County Sheriff's Department. So what we want to do, we want to get the memorandum, her representing us, happy with the language in there that she feels like represents us, that they agree with and we agree with, and then have a meeting with Mr. Schultz and make sure that he's happy with the language that goes in there as well.
And all this language will make sure that we're not held liable for events that happen out there.
That's correct, and it's also going to be a recorded memorandum of understanding, so it'll be contractual in nature, which means that you will have something to officially hold them responsible for if they don't comply with the contract. So that's what we're shooting for right now, but she's already made a lot of suggestions out there, and I don't know if any of y'all have gone out that way lately, but there's all kind of new signage up out there. Jenny Springs talking about their part with no firearm, no weapon, no fighting, no excessive alcohol consumption, no lewd displays, all that kind of stuff. They've taken no overnight camping in the vacant field where they park cars, where they used to have overflow camping out there. You can't bring sound stages or loudspeakers of your own into the park anymore. And they're exploring a capacity shut-off amount where they can't have but so many people in the park at any one time. And they're also trying to go to advanced registration. So you register to come in, you just show up and you got your ticket, you get in, and it's not one of these rave type things where it gets advertised, on the internet and everybody just shows up. So that's some of the things they're doing. Miss Boyce, after the hearing that we just had on the Duke Solar project, had a trip, and she's going to Spain. So as soon as she gets back, she has left word with them, and they should have already sent her what they purport to be their version of the memorandum of agreement. And of course, she's going to strike and change and doctor it up to what would best benefit us, and then we'll bring it back to the board.
I spoke to a deputy and asked him how the force went, and he said it was way better already.
Really? Yeah.
I heard the same thing.
I think they're increasing the deputy, the number. They're gonna have security or more deputies out there. I know at least 10.
Mr. Lang, you mentioned getting the sheriff's input. I'm guessing that would also be getting input from fire rescue or anybody else that's related to the county. And
Oh, yeah, she'll take input, and we'll take input from anybody.
and that will come back to the board, though, to
Oh, yeah.
finalize. The board and the public to have.
None of it's final. They have to agree. Y'all have to agree. The sheriff, we want the sheriff to agree. If you want EMS involved, we'll have them agree. And some of the stuff I believe is going to be based on matrices as far as how many officials you're supposed to be, fire or police, for such a size crowd. I don't know if we'll get to that matrix. They want a lot of cops for smaller crowds than what the property owner probably wants. But that's something that we can work on and negotiate. But just limiting the crowd size and trying to get people to register before they come so they don't always show up, and making changes like that is going to get us way ahead of the game. But it won't be formalized and official until y'all agree to it.
I've seen one of their signs at the end of the road where you turn to go into Jenny, and it is pretty detailed. I don't know how long it'll last, it's false, but, is this something, Duke, that we can look at? I don't want to come to the meeting and say, you need to pass this or not pass it. I'd like to brief it a little bit and kind of know what's in it before.
Well, yeah, that's the way that happens.
Before I have to make.
We'll get her to say, I've done all I can do on this.
Yeah.
Take it to your board and see what they think about it. And I'll circulate that before we have the board meeting. Then you can come in like we do with contracts and stuff and discuss it. Say, I'd like to see this changed or that changed. And that's when you get the meat and potatoes of it.
Just one thing that I had in mind that I would like to see them do is tone this loud music down. My goodness, I mean, if
Some of that,
if
I
I got a
think-
campsite and you got one next to it, I don't need you to put up 6 foot speakers up there and blow my eardrums out. If you can't hear, get you some earbuds or something like that and turn your music out as loud as you want to, but don't. The neighborhood, that's where most complaints come, is the neighborhood's loud music. But anyway, we'll look at it when they get it.
All right.
Well, I'm just looking at a couple of things here that they're trying to self-impose to themselves. No running of extension cords from power sources, pavilions, bathhouses to primitive campsites. Quiet hours from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. We might kick that back to I'm asleep by 12 a.m. But I mean, that kind of stuff. And no,
But the North ordinance is the 10
no,
o'clock. It has to be.
no stages. They've had situations where people showed up from distant places, set up a sound stage and started, without permission from them. You
That's
know
what I'm
saying?
talking about.
Yeah, no, they're addressing that as well, but they got a whole laundry list of their internal rules, and then they're gonna formalize a lot of those rules, or the majority of those rules, into this memorandum of understanding, once everyone agrees that we will record in the public records. Okay?
They can,
Thank you for that.
uphold those rules. I think that will take care of.
Well, you'll
A
have
lot
some,
of
you'll have a
problems
little,
out
you'll
there.
have some leverage then to try to enforce them if they
Right.
don't, once we get something officially in place. But Ms. Boyce wanted me to bring that to you and let you know that she's working on it diligently. And the last thing that I had, Mr. Martin, was the employment opportunity for the county administrator. We looked over some information that had been utilized when Bobby took the job 13 years ago, I guess it was. We looked at that and we kind of tweaked it up, and that, Caitlin will get that up on the board in front of you. And this is open forum. We're open for suggestions on what you think needs to go in there. I think at one time it required a bachelor's degree. We took that out and said, something to the effect, yeah, that'd be great. Bachelor's degree is great, but it says extensive government, major management experience in governmental operations may be considered by the board in lieu of the bachelor's degree, but we'd like 5 years' experience in a progressively responsible municipality or governmental operations. So you could have the bachelor's degree with a 4-year degree in public administration, business administration, management, finance, government, political science, or other related field. Or alternatively, you might not get any applicants in this area unless they're far removed from way off other areas. You probably will get some that will apply that have bachelor's from there, but you might have some people locally that'll be willing to apply that don't have a bachelor's degree. And therefore, if they have extensive government management experience in 5 years of it, then they ought to be allowed to apply as well. So we put that in there just to try to cover that. I mean, we'll do whatever you want to do. We'll strike it out or we'll leave it in there. And then down on number 6, you'll see it says TBD. That means to be determined.
Mhm.
This is the old salary range 13 years ago, which I don't think you're gonna find anybody apply for that price there. So y'all gonna have to come up with what you think a range ought to be. And you might want to utilize a cutoff date on receipt of applications. We've got this one listed as, positions are open until filled, but, if you get one application, is it filled? Or do you have a close off date?
So we need to have a close off date.
I think, well, I'm just throwing that out there, but open until filled means
Yeah, I think we need
if
to
I'm
have.
first in line and get up there, you can fill it if you like me. So, but with those, I would love to have some suggestions. Maybe Tammy might have some suggestions, I don't know, but,
2 weeks to 30 days, it's about right.
well, about any of it. I mean, she's looked it over, as well. And, but I wanted the board, this is your advertisement. We want to make sure that you're happy with it before we started being advertised. Okay. The revised? Okay. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. I messed up. Caitlin looked up. Caitlin retyped My hand scratching on there,
So,
which is hard to read.
Mr. Lang, thank you for, and whoever worked on it, we appreciate it very much. I did look at, Levy County is in the process of, advertising, and they have a job description. I'd encourage everybody to take a look at that. I mean, there might be some ideas there that we might be able to add to this. Particularly, they mentioned only applicants meeting minimum qualifications will be selected for interviews. That kind of narrows your pool. If you get hundreds of them, that helps you. They've got
Only who, I'm sorry, I didn't.
only the applicants that meet minimum qualifications. And they also have examples of work performed. It's just a little more detailed, and I'm not saying what we have is bad. I just suggestion, they got minimum qualifications, and one is the applicant live in Levy County, and I think we want to do the same thing. We want somebody that lives here.
I want a hometown boy
Yeah,
or lady.
right. Yeah, it would be nice to have somebody with local knowledge, as one of the things we look at. But the salary there is 100 to 165. I understand they're bigger, and but we should look around at the other counties and see what they're paying, and we're gonna have to be competitive, I think.
Dixie's a little less than 100,000, but they have also an assistant superintendent that works too, so they pay two salaries for the one job, and the two salaries are more than what we're paying here combined. I don't know what it is now. Last time I talked to, Mr. Cannon, I think it was 81,000 then. I don't know if it's changed.
It was
or-
less than ours. I don't
Yeah,
remember what
they,
it was
it's
either.
less than ours, but they do hire two people to do the job. They have an assistant, so.
And I think that's what we need with Mr. Crosby there. I think if he'd had an assistant and everything, take some of the pressure off. You know, I think you get burned out whenever this board puts so much on the county administrator. I think the same thing happened to Mr. Ronnie McQueen. He just wore so many hats, he just got burnt out. But
Was that something we need to do, like administrator and an assistant, or just do just the administrator?
I just know Mr. Crosby's in charge of a lot of stuff, grant writing, and, you know, he earns his money. And I'd like to see Mr. Crosby stay.
Should we put a time frame on, Duke, how long we advertise this?
I think so.
Kind of related to that, Tom, yeah, I'd like to see us go through the end of August. That's a little over a month. That gives people an opportunity. The election will be passed. They'll know what the board will be. And I think some people might use that one way or the other, regardless how it turns out. I think people just like to know. And so giving them that a little extra time would give people the opportunity. And still, I think the other thing we got to think about is an interim. And because Bobby, you basically said end of August, or I don't know where you are now, but I think we've got to figure out the interim part while we work on this other.
Do we need, Bobby, do we need your resignation in writing, or are we just gonna go with what you said, verbal? I mean, Duke, is there something, do we need that in writing? I mean, is there a policy saying it, he's got to submit it in writing?
Well, no, I mean, yeah, I don't think it has to be in writing. I think it probably should be in writing when he gets ready to tell you exactly the time. I don't know exactly what that time frame is, but you need something for the record instead of verbally.
We can deny the resignation, okay?
No. That's a nice official cutoff date.
Well, I'm not requiring it right now, but when he does decide, how long he wants to stay with us, a written, resignation and a day he's gonna stay with us would be nice.
Well, I think-
Not pressuring to do it right now, cause, like some others, I would like to see him stay as long as he would, cause he does a great job.
Yes, sir.
But, we would like to know a written day when he decides what that day is.
Well, he told us the end of August. I mean, I believe his word. I mean,
Well, I don't mean that, I mean,
I believe him, but for advertising purposes, I mean, if.
well, yeah, we need it
If we
written,
had
and
something
written.
in writing saying that he was gonna resign August the 31st, then
Then
we
we
would
know for sure.
advertise and move forward towards that.
Yeah, good point.
I think what I actually had stated, which we usually reflects the end of August, that I would help get through the budgets. So, and normally that's right at the end of August, so that's kind of how those two dates are going.
Yep.
Once I see when we're gonna be through with the budget, I'll be, and honestly, I'll be happy to give you a letter telling you I'm leaving in July. I'm okay with that. But if, once we kind of see where we're at in the budgets, you know, that end of August could fluctuate a few days or a week or whatever. But, that's kind of what I've been waiting on.
He doesn't want to resign and then the budget's not finished.
Well, we would like, definitely like him to stay through that process. That's why I'm not rushing it. Whenever he gets to a point where he knows, all right, this is done and I've got all my ducks in a row where they need to be, and then we have a date, then we'll have a date that if we have applicants, we can tell them they can start.
So, I mean,
Well, we have to interview, we're gonna have to, you know, let's say we get 20 applications. You know, I know we had a lot last time, you know, we had a committee that narrowed them down to the top, what, 5? And then those top 5, they came to us and did a presentation. So this could, you know, so the cutoff date, you know, do we have it 30 days from today or, cause we gotta start, or?
Well, I agree
Well,
with
that's
what
what-
Darryl said, that
End of August.
the new county administrator needs to know who his commissioners are.
Yeah, you don't
We
want
won't
to,
know that until after the election. So,
But does it matter? He's still gotta work with them no matter who they are.
no,
Yeah.
but it does make a difference. I think it makes a difference.
Well, you may have some people running for office now that might be interested. That's a possibility. You may have some employees that might want to apply depending on how things work out. I think a couple extra weeks towards the end of August doesn't hurt us either way, and it allows people to apply, and then.
yeah, I think you need to at least have your tentative budget hearing done.
Yeah.
Cause it's pretty firmed up when you have that done.
I understand that, but I just don't want to lapse time of 2-3 months without a county administrator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause it is a process.
Well, Bobby could stay until we get somebody in place.
It could.
And that new county administrator might need Bobby's assistance with everything Bobby's got going on with grant writing and where the county's at and projects.
How long y'all want to advertise this for?
To the end of August then? Be a
I mean,
month?
That's what I suggest.
Is
need
it,
a motion on
is it something that we're gonna go ahead and put out, like, as soon as we approve the application? Or
Yes.
we're gonna come back and add more to this application?
No, I'm not, yeah, I'm gonna add, I've been writing down I'm gonna look at the Levy County advertisement, and I don't know if it limits you too much to say it has to be a Gilchrist County resident. What if you get somebody that don't know what they're doing, and that's all that applies, and it's from Gilchrist County?
Well, the Levy
Yeah.
County states that, that they have to have moved to Levy County within 6 months or something like that.
Do what?
They
It
have
gives
to
them a
move.
time period that, so they don't have to live there to apply. They have to live there if they accept the position.
If they left it.
Okay, you got that, Bill? Just have- They can apply, they can be in Miami as long as they can.
But
Anywhere.
if you're gonna make changes on this, don't we wanna see those changes before we, send it out?
You don't wanna bring outside idea of Gilchrist County. You need a hometown person that lives here, born and bred here, and knows the county and knows the people. That's my opinion.
So they don't need to be a Gilchrist County resident on application.
No,
But
Levy
must-
just says within 6 months, they must move, right?
Right. Well, I tell you what, we did put in this thing, though, that residents of Gilchrist
I saw
County
that.
shall be given preference
Mm-hmm,
with equal qualifications to other candidates.
I saw that.
Mr. Lane, can we, so we have a budget workshop this Thursday. Is this something that we could look at a couple of days and bring it back, or we'd have to advertise and
No, but you better hurry, 'cause I'm leaving next week.
you got on vacation? Yeah, but if we got input on Thursday at the board workshop, would that be okay?
That's plenty of time.
Or if y'all agree?
These word processors are amazing now.
Let's do that.
plug it right in, whatever y'all wanna do.
Give everybody a chance to tweak it and look at it and get
Mhm.
some other ideas and look at other counties, and then Thursday we can present.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
doesn't have to be advertised since it's something the board's gonna take action on.
You probably should, shouldn't it, Todd?
So we can't take action on them then.
So we can't take action on it Thursday. We could discuss it, but we can't do any action. Or can we not even discuss it without advertisement?
I mean, we have time that you could do like we were talking about with the millage rate. You know, we were having a special meeting following the workshop. I mean, we could go ahead and post that you're gonna have a, you know, special meeting to discuss, you know, that particular item, and that'd be the only
The
thing.
job description,
You
Well,
know,
we could do it this way.
to Thursday.
We could do, this is country logic. You could ask that at the workshop, that everybody concur with the language of the ad and not have an official vote on it. If anybody objects, says, I don't like it. And
yeah,
we'll to
then
do
you'd have to
something
bring it back to another.
different At the next workshop.
Yeah.
And so you want us to give you input before then, so you
Before
can have a
Thursday.
draft? Okay.
You
Yep.
need to have your information, any questions or additions to Mr. Lang before Thursday.
Yeah, because I'm gonna go forward with correcting as best I can, look at Levy County's ad, and then, whatever suggestions y'all have.
We will do that. And, that way everybody has a chance to look at it a little bit and see if we want to tweak it some way or another. All right, so we aren't gonna take any action on that today?
Well, I had hoped you would, but you can't, because we got too many changes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, then we will move on with our clerk's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Only item in my report today is, the budget books are behind you. If you would, grab one as you're leaving and, you know, try and review it for Thursday. We'll have our first, workshop on Thursday at 4:00. And, if you have any questions before then, feel free to contact us or, for anything that you have questions on.
What departments are we doing Thursday?
On Thursday, we, all of the constitutionals were not able to be there.
Okay.
So we are doing, I believe, clerk, supervisor, and I think that's it, yeah.
Is that
As far
just
as,
two?
no, just
Oh, okay.
constitutionals. And then we're gonna talk about fire, EMS, code enforcement, community development, detention and corrections, health department's coming. And then just some smaller budgets. So.
Okay.
And if the public wanted a copy, how's the best way for them to? On the website? Okay.
A copy of the agenda,
Of the budget,
book,
that's what I'm. Okay.
our budget book. Okay.
Were you gonna talk fuel costs?
Well, basically just an FYI,
Okay.
you know, we provided that data for you. Fuel costs have come down somewhat, so
That helps the transportation, doesn't it?
yes, it does.
Diesel come down, but
Yeah.
do we have a policy on people using the fuel depot? I get calls about people filling up at the Kangaroo and all this other kind of stuff. Do we have a policy on people that have to use the depot or should use the depot or recommendations or?
The thing, most all our people use it. Now, are they talking about county vehicles, or are they talking about,
Mostly sheriff deputies.
well, we don't have any policy for the sheriff, he makes his own policy.
Okay.
Sheriff.
I think it would be good for them to fill up down there.
From time to time, our, emergency response people will have to fill at an alternative place just because of how busy they are and how low they're getting on fuel.
Yeah.
We have a special system for them that gets a reduced price and no taxes on it, so, but for the most part, everyone fills.
Yeah, so for, you know, we have certain county departments that have, it's called WEX. Like Mr. Crosby said, it gives them a reduced price and no taxes. So, you know, the preference is to use the fuel depot, but, you know, at least if they are using the WEX card, you know, they're not paying the gas tax on it.
Occasionally fuel island may go down and you have to use it or something, but that's, seems like that comes in bunches. When it happens.
All right, nothing else?
That's all for today.
All right, Commissioners report, Ms. Sharon.
Yeah, Spring Ridge, originally I was told, that we'd get the big bid packet back, would come back before, the 1st of July meeting. And then if we agreed on that, we'd go out to bid on that scope of work. But we still, and it's now the middle of July, and we still haven't received anything, so I was just wondering. An update on Spring Ridge, because I know it's already into July.
So part of that's my fault. I got with Swanee County Road Superintendent, and I asked him if I could come up there and look at some of their projects. He's got 30 years' experience. They have quit chip and seal, and they started, they bought their own equipment. They started doing their own asphalt. So I asked Lee and Jim to go with me to get their opinions and answer some of their questions. And since they're the one that headed up that project to start with and talked everybody into signing on to it. But we went up there and talked to him, and actually, he showed us some roads that were about 7 or 8 years old that were in good shape. He showed us a road that was 6 months old that was falling apart. And asking him what the difference was, and he said it had everything to do with the base, which I would agree, and everybody else that I've talked to would agree. I talked to the guy from Bradford County a little bit. I haven't been up there yet, but I asked the guy from Swanee County if he would come down and look at our roads and make a recommendation to us what he would do if it was his road. So he met down there on Friday, me and Lee and Jim, and he said we showed him the boring report and all that kind of stuff, and he was very cooperative, very suggestive on ideals and situations and stuff like that. And I asked him what would he do to fix those roads? If those roads belonged to Swanee County and he was in charge of fixing them, what would he do? And he said we had a good base. He said he didn't see no problem with the base. He said that he would sweep them real clean, put a leveling course of hot mix asphalt, and then come back and cap it off with hot mix asphalt. So I asked him, I said, if we do a leveling course, we sweep it, we do a leveling course of hot mix asphalt, can I chip and seal over that? He said, no, it will not hold up. Now, that's his opinion.
Is he engineer?
Huh?
Is he an engineer?
No, he's not, but he's got 30 years experience. He was a finish man for Swanee County. He's now their road superintendent.
Okay.
But he was a finish man for Swanee County. So I asked him, I said, what would you recommend? And he went back, sweep it, leveling course, cap it off with hot mix asphalt. That's what he said. That's the only way the roads are going to hold up. So I talked to Bobby. I talked to the engineer, John Locklear, and he told me, I asked him if we could redo it and rebid it and make it to where we had 2 bids, one for the cap, hot mix asphalt like we're talking about, and one for chip and seal, in case we decided we could compare prices and stuff like that. He sent me a copy. I talked to him Friday. He sent me a copy this morning of the bid package that he wants to send out. Of course, it hasn't come before the board yet, but the way I understand the bid package is chip and seal only.
So it's not even the other option?
It's not even the other option, the way I understand it, if I read it right, and I know Lee and them has looked at it, and that's what I concluded. I just don't know how we can, if he makes a recommendation and everybody says it won't work, then I just don't know why we would consider chip and seal.
So this man is saying chip and seal will not work on that?
He says it will not stick to that leveling course, is what he said.
What about the pavement we have there now? Would chip and seal stick to that?
He said it will not.
He said it won't hold up. And you know, we got a 20-year mortgage on this.
Yeah.
And I'll remind you, these are county roads. These don't belong to Spring Ridge.
And
They belong to the county.
they paid to get it fixed.
And they've already paying to get it fixed. We've already spent money.
Mhm.
If we did, I asked him, what if we chip and seal? what could we expect? I believe he told me 7 or 8 years life out of it. I said, so in 7, 8 years, we're gonna come back, if we spend that kind of money now, we're gonna come back 7, 8 years and have to fix it again? Why not fix it right to start? That's the reason part of the delay was, is because I asked him to redo it. He did send me that this morning. I know the board hasn't had a chance to look at it.
So when are you gonna get this other one then, the other, bid pack that you requested?
I don't know. He said if we had any questions, he wanted Lee and Jim to look at it. He said if we had any questions, to get back with him, he would try to resolve the issues and get it to where we wanted it to present it to the board. So tomorrow, I can call him and tell him, what the issues are. I'd like to hear from Lee and Jim, see what their issues are, and.
So you'll call the engineer tomorrow and ask him for the other bid packet?
I can.
The asphalt bid's in there. If you look at the last sheet, there's an alternate for that as well. So
What was that, Bobby?
that asphalt bid the asphalt stuff is in there.
It is?
Yes. If you look at the last page, there's a bid sheet, it might not be the last page toward it. There's a bid sheet to price out the asphalt
get it.
and a bid sheet to price out the chip and seal.
Oh, I didn't see
Now, I'm
it.
not saying we're gonna use the chip and seal.
Right.
I'm not saying that at all.
Okay.
But if we're gonna put out a bid package, it'd kind of be a good time to just sort of find out for future.
Can I get a copy of that? I didn't get a
Can we
copy
get
of
a
that.
copy of that?
I didn't receive that.
Well, y'all appointed Commissioner Langford,
Right, I know.
Tommy Langford to do this, so.
Can we
I
get
sent
a
it to
copy?
Commissioner Tommy Langford, but they're, so once they get through with it, yes, it should be
Okay.
distributed to everyone to review.
Oh, yeah, everybody can take a look at it. If you let them speak. I'm sorry, Bobby, I missed it. I mean, I try to read it as best as I can, but.
Well, I still want to go back. I didn't get to read it all. I skimmed it real quick today, and I think it needs to be designated better, is what I think. It does, I mean, if you read those every day, not, you and I don't, you might pick it up, but I think it should have, this is alternate 1, and then come down, this is alternate 2, so it explains. it
I
much
agree,
better.
so it's separated and the
Yeah.
contractor can
So
know.
I want to ask them to do that, so it's
Specific, yes.
Jim Meredith, Spring Ridge, Gilchrist County. I read very quickly, I mean, it was sent over to, Lee and myself, just a few hours ago, and we kind of read through it very quickly. I did not see what the thinking was.
I don't like the way it's in there.
Huh?
I don't like the way it's in there.
Okay.
Because I think it's easy to miss. I think if you were a person who bid roads all the time,
Mhm.
you might pick it out, but, cause I kinda had to get them to point it out to me.
Yeah.
And so
We'll get that
that's
changed.
why I wanted to say what the alternate is, and this is this section, and this, and, I kinda think we need to go to get with them and instead of having an alternate, just have 2 bid packets. If we're gonna have something, or explain it a little better, but it is hard to pick out. I kinda had to get them to point it out to me.
And that's what I asked him to do, is I want this mix, I want this one, and I want this one, so that we can look at both of them, compare prices, longevity, how it's gonna hold up, all that kind of stuff, and then we can make a decision.
Okay.
So we'll just have to get him to redo that and make it more specific and more detailed.
I understand that, but I wonder at this point why chip and seal only as a solution would even be considered. Considering the condition that we have with the roads right now, what we learned, from our trip to Swanee County and from Swanee County gentleman's, trip, and, do appreciate his efforts working with us. But, chip and seal, I mean, we talk about chip and seal a lot, and here's chip and seal. Got a little example of it. This is what we're talking about when we talk about chip and seal. It is granite that is ground to about 1/2 inch in thickness. I'll turn that way so you can see the thickness of it here. About 1/2 inch, along with asphalt binder that's used to bind that to whatever the surface is. So you're talking something that is 1/2 inch thick of material that we're looking at sealing, in some cases, 3-inch thick. And if you'd like to just take this and pass it down, I'll make a copy of you. Up to 3-inch thick, depressions that are in the road. all throughout Spring Ridge, and especially in areas, I think this is 51st Avenue, but I could show you pictures if you want from any number of places in Spring Ridge. How is a 1/2 inch thick layer going to take care of a 3-inch deep depression in this case?
Leveling course.
Well, to me, that will
Leveling
have to be fixed first,
Yeah,
because there's no.
that's what your
base
leveling
under-
course would do.
Yeah,
what your
that's gonna
leveling-
have
it
to
would
be
fix all
fixed
that.
before we do anything.
But my understanding
It's
is
going to
that-
be leveled off and fixed
Right.
with lime rock, and then do what you need to do.
But from what I understand, in the either or is a leveling course, then we've decided that is going to be there regardless.
It has to be, you gotta
It
be.
would have to be.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Okay. From what I've read and from what I've heard, I mean, the discussion was that we were just going to do chip and seal only, attempt to seal in what is
No,
there.
you have to fix the places that, because there's so
there's-
many places in there that's, the base is not, you gotta fix the base on some of those holes in there.
Well,
There's several places.
then we're speaking the same language. That's good, because my understanding was at some point we were talking about just doing chip and seal only over what is there. And
There's some places you have to fix first, though.
absolutely not going to work, and there are several places, and there are even some, where, going back to the letter that was written to us, a few months ago, by the board, that I believe would need some serious renovation before, anything like that would work. 51st being one example of that, where the pavement is
It's
pulverized.
right, if there's nothing, yeah.
And the roads are really, they're getting in bad shape.
Even the
They're
roads
really-
that were good are getting in bad shape
They're
now.
falling apart.
They're falling apart.
They are. I mean, there are spots where you can see the lime rock already.
Absolutely. That picture that I just showed you is one of them, and it's one of several.
That's not everywhere. There's some good.
No, it's not. There are some areas where, and that's what Swanee County gentleman told us, is that there are some areas where it has compacted enough to where we have generally a good base.
But we need to cap it
Right.
and
Exactly.
seal it.
I'm gonna interject on this. Anything you put
Would you
asphalt
give
on
us your name
or
again?
concrete on must have substantial base. Okay? When I was paving in New Jersey, I had my own paving machine. We put 4 inches of compactable material, 4 inches of stab base asphalt, that's 3/4 inch stone, and then 2 inches of top, which is a 3/8 stone mixture of asphalt. That's what you do when you're gonna make the road. And I can tell you, I got driveways and parking lots 20 years or so. This is a mess, what we got here now. And I don't know if I would go into the money of adding asphalt on top of it. I don't know if that's gonna work, because you don't know what's underneath of it.
But we had 20 bore samples done. We pretty much know what's there.
And what is the base?
It varies from 6 inches to 4 inches in some places, but,
But we're losing some sort of a depth to it, right? We're getting like a hollow spots or something like that, to sink. You see the low spot?
All right, we need to move on.
Yeah, okay, I
This
just
is,
wanted,
I wanna hear their comments.
I don't-
We don't
yeah,
have time to
yeah,
fix this right now between the,
I think
this
it's
group,
something
so
you're really gonna have
let's
to.
move on,
look into.
and, you wanna speak, you can, real quick, finish you want? No, well, he's
No, I
had his
am
3
finished.
minutes, you get 3 minutes if you want it.
personally, I don't like the idea of being limited to 3 minutes. This is a major thing. We've been waiting for months. You know it's been months. Every time I come to one of these meetings, there's a delay. We have to wait till the next meeting. Y'all know that. You go back and look at the minutes, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's delay, 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 delay. We started way back when, I forget what month it was. It wasn't just a few weeks ago or a month ago. It's been a long time ago. And you looked at me and said, we're gonna fix it. Y'all sent a letter to our community that said, as soon as it gets warm. Well, guess what kind of questions I'm getting around in my neighborhood? The commissioner said, when it got warm, it's warm. Where are they? How do I answer that? He's a little cooler and calmer than I am. I'm gonna settle. And I don't know how he feels, but I'm not willing to accept what I saw today. I don't know about Jim.
but I personally am not willing to settle for what I saw today. And I spoke to you today, Tommy, what we wanted, I was hoping that you would make a motion and let them vote on it, let them show us where they stand. That's how I feel.
What do you want the motion to be?
I want the motion to be what Swanee County recommended, or if not, we want the roads to be what was promised to us.
Right.
What we went out and looked at in Taylor County, we saw a 20-year road. The man showed us a 20-year road. That was millings, and I don't know the difference. We actually did a deeper base.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the rotten millings, maybe it was the contractor. I can't speak to that. But I talked to you today, you indicated you would. I'm looking for a vote. I realize we don't have it in front of us, but I'm against what you're gonna show them today, if you're gonna show them, or we're gonna wait for 2 more weeks. I'm against that. I'm 100% against that. I get questions every day from my neighbors and on the internet, on the neighbors. Hey, it's warm, where are they? What's going on? How do I explain that? You all know that I'm right. I mean, you know I am.
I mean, I was out there last week and, you know, about every house. When is a road gonna get fixed? And I said, you know, well, maybe there's gonna be something brought to the meeting this, you know, this Monday, maybe, you know, because, I didn't realize, Tommy, that you had went and met with, you know, Swanee County. So I'm thinking we're gonna get the bid packet at this meeting. You know, I said, well, hopefully we're gonna vote on it, you know, this coming up Monday. But now we haven't voted on it again.
And so it's gonna go on and on and on, and of course, I've heard that there's an election in August, and guess what? Maybe this will go beyond that, and we don't know, there's gonna be new people up there. I think y'all, this board should settle it before the election. Because whoever gets elected, that's it, you're all Republicans. Those that are running against you are all Republicans. So it's finalized in August. I'd like to see it done before that. Now, I don't mean to be hollering at you, I'm just upset. The last few meetings I've been upset for the same reason. You don't know what it's like for me to call and talk to Tommy, or Tommy calls me and says, oh, I'm sorry, they're not gonna bring it up tonight. Are you kidding me? I mean, it was 2 months ago when you were gonna put it off to the next meeting, but wait a minute, a couple of you weren't gonna be here, so we'll put it off to the following meeting. And, okay, it's gonna be done then. And then there's the following meeting, and then there's the following meeting. It's just never gonna happen.
Yeah.
So,
Mr. Lee, can I, so I hear your frustration. I know you've been involved and promoted and wanting to get us, and get it fixed. And so all of us appreciate that. All of us want to get it fixed. But so we had an engineer go out and do borings so we'd know what we have. We had another engineer recommend, a solution, and that's what we were working on. And then you guys went to Swanee County. So what do you want us to vote on tonight? I'm not sure.
I think Tommy can make a presentation with basically what we want. You don't have to vote. It doesn't have to go out to bid, but I'd like to see where you stand. I mean, I personally think, you know,
Well,
I don't want to say what I personally think. I'm not going to say that because I don't want to make.
Well, Lee, I'm with you. This board created this mess. This board should fix the mess and not leave it whoever comes up
No,
here
we
and
need to
sits in
fix
these
it.
seats.
What Lee's looking for is a commitment.
I'm looking for commitment.
He wants this board to say that they're gonna fix these roads and they're gonna fix them right. We have 2 options. To fix it and guarantee them what they were promised from the beginning, which was the ones you have the pictures of that y'all got from Taylor County. They either want that or they want them to fix the way that I asked the engineer to bid it out. Sweep it, leveling course, hot mix asphalt. That's their 2 options. And they want the board to commit to do that, one way or the other. That's what we're gonna do.
So-
Fix it and fix it right for 20, 15, 20 year longevity, whatever we can get out of it. Cause they're helping foot the bill.
Did the guy in Swanee County tell you what that cost?
No, he didn't. We would have to bid it out to see.
So Commissioner Langford, I spoke to someone that used to be a road supervisor. He said that that the chip and seal was better than the milling.
I believe that.
Then the milling, what we got on there, yeah.
Yeah,
I would
that
agree
chip
with
and seal,
that.
but you're saying you want to go back to the milling?
According to this gentleman, he was nice enough to come out to
Right.
our
But you're either
neighborhood.
wanting us to do it with what Tommy is or go back and just do the millings, but everybody I've talked to said that the chip and seal would be better than the milling.
Yeah, we don't wanna do millings.
Right,
But we
okay,
don't wanna do
okay, I thought
chip
you
and
said you
seal
wanted,
either.
okay.
What I was saying is if you would have gave them the road that they sold this on, that they got pictures of, if you would have gave them that road, they wouldn't even be here today. Am I right, Jim?
That is correct.
They didn't get that road.
And regarding the chip and seal and millings, the millings that, have been used and that I think are still available to use have already been pre-ground. They're sitting, up at the, north, waste transfer station. And that indeed has been part of the problem, is the fact that they were all ground in advance. We have been told this by two different sources. They were ground in advance, left sitting there for a week, 2 weeks, a month before they were actually applied, put down as pavement, and they lose their cohesiveness over that period of time. They should have been ground and used within a very short period of time so that they would bond, they would stick together. But without that happening, without any emulsion being used to bond it, without heat being used to apply it, we set ourselves up for failure. So those millings will not do the job.
So we want to get like specifications on the way the Swanee County recommended, and then on, what's the other choice? The chip and seal?
Yeah.
Okay.
That way we can compare prices, but I'm like Jim, I don't know.
But we
that
gotta
chip and
fix the
seal is
bank.
Even in the picture.
If we have to wait for another meeting to get that, and the engineer says, oh, I can't make it, like today, he promised Tommy to be ready, he's not ready. I mean,
Yeah.
tell me why it's delayed meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. I know the government works slow, but we're not talking a couple of meetings. We're talking months. Can anybody explain that to me? Honestly,
So you want a motion from this board today to go out for a price on virgin asphalt?
not to put out to put out a bid yet, but I want a commitment. I want the board to commit that they're gonna, do it right, and they're gonna listen to what we have to say. Jim will make a presentation, Tommy can talk to it, he was there. I've talked to another, asphalt guy, I give Tommy the card, and he said the same thing. So, and he said he was ready to bid on it.
Well, let's make a motion for this board to make a commitment today that the roads in Spring Ridge are our problem and we will fix it.
Right.
Is that what you want?
And that we have
And get a bid packet.
the bid package next meeting.
Yep.
Or the two bid packages, whatever, and vote on it. Because the longer you wait, soon as the summer's gone, you gotta put it out for advertisement, you gotta put it out for bid. We'll be into, the cold weather again.
I'll second your motion.
And
All
that's
right, we got a
ridiculous.
motion, that the board's gonna take a commitment, and at our next meeting, we are going to vote on.
We maybe come here and have it something, some bigger. where can
We
get
gotta
it
look
and
at,
vote.
yeah, to see which way to
But-
do it.
But with the board will make a commitment to fix your roads
And fix it right.
and fix it right. We've got a motion, we got a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right,
I'm committed to day one. These roads gotta be.
We'll have it at the next meeting,
we're hoping to have it at the next meeting.
hoping.
I'm not getting it, so I can't say I will have it at the next meeting, but
We'll
we're
get-
gonna do our best to have it at the next
We'll
meeting.
get with John tomorrow and tell him exactly what we're looking for and tell him we'd
Can
like
I
to have.
ask one more question? You had asked the engineer for two bids. What happened to one, why did we only get one bid?
Well, it may be in there. I may be overlooking it. Bobby said he saw
I
it.
looked at it, I didn't see it,
There's an alternate sheet that's asking for the price, so it's gotta be.
so we didn't get that.
Yeah, we got it. We just didn't read it right or
I looked it over 4 or 5 times.
We'll look at it again. I'll talk to the engineer tomorrow and I'll get back with y'all tomorrow.
There's a price sheet.
Now, he did hurt his neck and that's one reason he's not here tonight. So, he told me he hurt his neck and he wouldn't be here tonight, but he said he could have a representative if I wanted him. I didn't think it was necessary. So I will get with John tomorrow, get with Bobby. We'll get it back to him, tell him this is what we want. Make sure he separates it out, do two bids, whatever. my other question is there any need to bid it out for chip and seal if we're not gonna go that route?
If Jim still ain't no road up,
I
you
changed
don't
the
need to bid
bid
it.
I would just change the bid. I'd simplify it. I'd just bring it way down and I would just put in there, sweep the roads, leveling course, cap it. And
We can do that.
to the proper terms.
But what about filling up those holes? They
That's
have
what
to
the
fill up.
leveling
Okay,
course
that-
Do that. That leveling course will fix that. And I talked to him, we talked to him extensively. What would it do and how would you fix this road? And he detailed out exactly what he would do. These bad spots, he said the leveling course will make it level, look like glass. You come in there and cap it, put a sealer on it and you're done.
So
But
can
they'll
you-
have to get you something so we can put it out to bid.
Well, now John is also their engineer up there. So John works with the supervisor department of, road department in Gene, so they know each other and they work together with each other. And I asked him to go talk to Gene, the guy's name is Gene. I asked him to go talk to Gene and make a recommendation and let's put all this together and get it fixed. I'm like, Lee, I'm tired of talking about it.
We're in the middle of July.
This whole board, we want it fixed. We want to put these things.
Well, he just made a suggestion, can we,
You just tell him we want it bid out the way that
No,
Gene
but-
recommended, we'll do
did I
it.
understand you to say, Bobby, that you could change it right now?
Not right now. We can change it tomorrow.
Oh, that's what I mean,
Yes,
you
sir.
could change it before talking or waiting next week or 2 weeks, we could change it now, tomorrow, or
Well, we can get with the engineer tomorrow to make the changes.
okay.
And, but it usually, as much work as he's already got done in there, he's probably looking at about 2 days to just get it turned around. And not weeks. He's got the base I mean.
Yeah, he just has to
He
change the
just
word a
gotta-
little bit. I mean, it would take nothing to fix it.
Okay. I heard something today,
We're
I'm
gonna
done,
fix it,
I'm
right?
done, Bill, don't give me those evil eyes.
We're not trying to give you evil eye.
But I heard today when you were out there this weekend campaigning that your husband wanted to know how come we had so many speed bumps.
Yes, that was at nighttime. I told him there weren't speed bumps.
Yeah.
I'm just worried, I'm worried about the base if we don't do something, and I'm really worried about the base.
All right, Commissioner Smith. You have anything?
I was gonna mention, one of the things I picked up down at the Florida Association of Counties meeting was a Florida Agriculture and Food System Fast Facts. And it just talks about the economic impact, by county. And so here in Gilchrist County, ag, has a direct output of 190 million, 296 total output contribution, and 2,351 jobs that ag provides. And so I just thought that was interesting that ag provides such a big impact. The other thing that
I brought y'all one.
yeah, okay, good. Yeah, so page 34, 35 talks about the ag input pack. The other is, Donna had given me something related to tourism and visitors to our county and the economic impact. It's about 20 million to our local economy. And so when people go to our parks or do the things they do here on our rivers and springs, they're providing that economic impact. And so it's supporting our small businesses. They're buying gas, they're buying food at restaurants, they're doing the things they do. But they're also providing jobs. They're for our local small businesses. And so the ag industry, tourism are our two biggest economic impacts, I think.
They are, not just here, but across the state.
Yeah.
That's what runs our state. It's tourism and agriculture. Those are the two economic engines across the whole state of Florida. A lot of people don't think of Florida that way. They think of Florida and they think of Tampa, Miami, and Orlando, but there's a whole lot in between all those that's farmland. I flew over it today and I looked down and I said, you know what, there's still a lot of ag going on in this state. A lot of subdivisions out there, but a lot of ag land out there also. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right, Mr. Tommy?
Yeah. I was gonna tell Bobby, I got a complaint about the signs up at 47 and 340. I got 2 complaints this morning, said when they pull up to 47, the political signs are in the way, so maybe you can tell the road department to.
The little ones or the big ones?
Supervisor Lex, because Political signs got certain laws.
Well, both guys said you have to pull up past the white line to be able to see towards Trenton.
Well, yeah,
You're talking about the big political signs?
Well, I don't know if they're talking about just the little ones or the big ones.
there's
I
some
thought I'd
other
go by and
signs
take a
there
look
too.
at it.
They're not all political. There's some,
I forget what all the signs are.
Church.
We'll check and see, but. Good thing.
Billy,
if you wanna come up to the podium here.
Well, I don't have the big one.
It's in the state right there, Dave.
I don't know about mine, but I know about 3 or 4 more of them that's on private property.
Yeah,
They're not blocking nobody's view, because all the stop bar is way too far back.
yeah.
So if I went that road, I mean, heck, I can see, whole thing people gotta do is stop and look, and then pull back,
Right.
you know, and they don't have time.
Billy is correct. I mean, not that he needs me to say he's correct on it, but I pulled up out there the other day. I stopped at the stop bar and you look to the left, to the south and the signs are there, but they are on private property because that's what I noticed. You ease up a little bit, you can see fine. So really and truly, if you're driving safely, and ease up because that stop bar is back for a reason. So people stop further back because when we had that redesign,
Yeah.
can't remember what year it was, but when they redesigned it, they did that on purpose.
Yeah.
So,
I was out there today, mine's 25 feet in the air, so, you seen mine, I guess.
I did.
And,
Don't you,
I can see perfect.
don't you take that down.
I ain't gonna let you hang yours under my nose, I thought we had an agreement.
I'm not complaining, I'm just trying to report it as I told them. So I'm not complaining.
Anything else?
Yeah, the Dollar General is dried in. It looks like they got the parking lot poured with concrete. I don't know if they're gonna add some asphalt, but it's looking a lot better. It looks really good. The other question I have is our road superintendent. I know Rodney resigned. So who do we have now, Bobby?
David Reed.
David Reed. Okay, are we looking for somebody? We're gonna advertise it, or what are we gonna do to get somebody full-time? I'm starting to get road complaints.
We're working through that right now. We put some different things in place this morning to try to expedite some of those.
So is Rodney still an employee? I mean,
Rodney's still an employee.
In
He
what
just
department
resigned
is he
as road
working in?
department.
What department is he working in?
Right now, he is working, in a couple of departments. One of those things is he is handling, as I sent y'all an email today with the number to call Rodney, he's gonna work as the liaison between you guys and, David Reed. So David Reed can stay working the crew. He's gonna be handling a lot of the, some of the old DEP complaints. We have some complaints involving DEP with code enforcement that he started. He's gonna be working on some of those, but, he's gonna be helping with a lot of those things, just trying to get those into perspective.
So are we working towards, I guess I'm hearing you right, we've been working towards getting a new road super?
Yes,
Bob?
yes.
And you don't know how long that'll be?
Cause down here it says Mr. Reed's the interim road supervisor. I just saw your email.
Well, I've met David, and David seems to be a straight up guy. I ain't had no trouble with him, he's been helpful for me, cause I think today with the new system, everything worked well.
Anything else, Tommy?
No, I don't think so, no.
All right, Mr. Thomas?
That was my comment.
Okay. I have been out since the last 14 days, and, I assume everything went well on the 4th with Jenny and all that.
Nothing
Everything
but
went
good
well.
reports is what I
The
said.
only phone call I had was one of the ladies that spoke on that road closing, and so mine was taken care of, so I have nothing else. If there's nothing else, we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Public participation.
Public participation one more time. Anybody else? We had so much public participation earlier, I thought we'd already got through that. All right, I see none,